All right, here we go. Okay, so welcome to Inspired Sale Class. I know that it feels like we've been doing Inspired Sale Class for the last 5 weeks, but the reality is everything that we've done up until now is really just sort of getting you ready for this week. So this week is where we will tie everything together. If there are some individual pieces that don't quite make sense as individual pieces just yet, that's all right. For most people, it all comes together this week. But as we get started today, I want to ask you a fairly simple question. Well, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. As you look at my screen here, I'm going to go around the room, use this as a way of taking attendance, but also as a way of us sort of focusing our mind today on the task at hand. I want to ask you guys, what is a new skill that you have recently learned? Now, it may or may not have anything to do with this business. Maybe you recently learned how to play the guitar. Maybe you recently took up a sport or took up another kind of hobby. I don't know. We'll find out what you guys are doing in your spare time. So what is a new skill that you've learned? And then I want to find out from you, what did you do to learn it? What did you do to perfect it? And you may feel like, well, I'm not perfect at it, but this is what I'm doing to get better, and that's okay. And then I'm going to ask a simple question. Is there only one way to do it? So maybe you learned how to play the guitar, okay, and this is what I did to learn it. This is what I'm doing to get better at it. And then I'm going to ask you a simple question. Is there only one way to play the guitar? So I'm going to start with Jonathan Friedman. Jonathan, what's a new skill that you've recently learned?
Well, I sort of learned how to drive a forklift on Friday, and I emphasize the sort of. What did I do to learn it? I turned the ignition on and I tried my best. I will be doing an online certification course to perfect it. And I guess there's a few ways probably to learn how to drive a forklift. Some are probably more recommended than others. I say trial and error is probably not the best approach.
I guess it depends on what you hit, right?
Well, I may or may not have gotten it stuck on the side of the garage door on Friday and had a mini panic attack in trying to get it loose, but it all got sorted out, thankfully.
Nice.
In large thanks to my co-franchisee in Peterborough, Mr. Rob Cooper. He was awesome. But anyway, I've got this big ass forklift in my warehouse, which now looks a lot smaller than it did initially. So the warehouse, the forklift still looks equally large. So.
Got it. All right, Ryan Davis, how about you? What is a new skill that you've recently learned?
Been learning how to play not that hard pickleball.
Nice. All right. So what did you do to learn it? What are you doing to perfect it?
Usually just watch and observe as anything else, and then get in there and figure it out like any others, and then work on your footwork and try to be a little better.
There you go. All right. Now, I don't know that much about pickleball. I assume there's one set of rules, but is there only one way to like perfect the game?
No. You can, I guess, be creative and put it all over the court, whatever you want to do.
There you go. Nice. All right, let's see. Jenny Carter, how about you?
Yeah, so recently I just started taking up Pilates because of a lower back issue. So trying to kind of strengthen up some of my core muscles. And honestly, it's just me going back to class for instruction over and over and over.
Yes, I am.
And there's different ways based on your muscle strength. They give you different methods of doing it. Like if you're maybe not strong enough in one area, they'll give you a different modification to do it in a different way.
Nice. All right. So look, there's automatically different ways to do things. I love it. Let's see. Eric Gibbs.
I guess I'll do something that's not as that's more tailored to what we're doing here. But I've never used a tablet before I came to work, before I opened this franchise. So learn how to use a tablet and learning how to do estimates and all of that is a new skill I've learned. But what I do to learn it, I've screwed it up pretty good over and over again, trying to get better at it. And I'm sure that there is more than one way to do it. And I probably have not chosen the best way, but I'm pushing the ball up the field happily.
I love it. I love it. Good. Jeff and Carrie, how about you guys?
For me, Jeff, I learned to build shelves for our garage. And
Nice.
Jeff taught it to me, so that's how I learned. I perfect it when he tells me I did it wrong and I have to redo. And no, there's many ways to do all those shelving and woodworking.
Nice. Jeff, how about you?
And we're still married. The only thing I can come up with is starting a business and learning the inconveniences of the permit process and working with the state and getting around. And I'd say the way that I learned it was by asking a lot of questions as well as having to do the necessary research online.
Nice. Nice. Let's see, Jen Hine.
Oh, can take myself off mute. Oddly enough, I just had family in town from South Dakota, and so they took us over to a go-kart track, and I did learn how to do that drifting, almost like Fast and Furious drifting. It's just like going, so that was fun. It's just like going, figuring out the gas brake ratio there. So, but I guess old school, they've been driving in the snow, so they know how to do it. I would say FCR related, getting way better. It's just like going with doing on our estimates. It's just like going of getting stairs just right, because that's been an issue of trying to like make sure that you're getting all that and product that has the right, bull nose or whatever you need. It's just like going. It's like that all the product and the estimate is as close as you can get it. So. And I'm sure I'm not it's like I'm perfecting it. No, not yet, but and I'm sure, yes, there's more than one way to do it, but
Of course. Yeah.
it's been
All
my
right.
fun and my work related, new.
Nice. All right, Nate, how about you? What's a new skill you've recently learned?
So this may sound really simple, but we've been working on actual completing work orders for jobs that we land. And first and foremost, I really kind of did it, just without any guidance at first, and actually took it to Josh and our office manager to find out like what they, see what details were missing from ordering, capabilities and things like that. And then I got both of their feedback and then really went in and then adjusted it to make sure we had plenty of detail, but so that it wasn't also a novel. But the thing that I found, there's not necessarily one perfect way to do it or one way to do it. It's finding a way that it works for everybody in the office that creates, that seamless transition when we're getting things ordered and getting jobs completed and things like that.
I love it. I love it. Let's see. How about Mark Raimondo?
Yeah, I guess the easy one is estimating flooring projects is definitely something new for me that I've still learning. And I guess, going through this class and repetition and doing ride-alongs and watching multiple different reps do it and kind of picking and using best for me.
Okay, got it. Tyler Simmons.
Yeah, I recently learned how to wire a wireless, like a Wi-Fi relay into a fan in an attic. That was a lot of fun.
All right, so how did you learn how to do that?
A lot of stumbling around in the darkness of the attic, holding a flashlight in my mouth. I'm sure someone could take better steps to be better prepared for that scenario.
Okay, all right, good. Let's see, Blake.
Yeah, so through this process, I've recently learned how to get into the M&A business. I'm looking to acquire another franchise owner's business. Never done anything like that before in my life. So I'm not sure I've learned it yet. I'm still going through the process. What did I do to learn it? I've talked to a lot of professionals, CPAs, franchise lawyers, other franchise owners within FCI who have acquired businesses, people who know how to evaluate businesses as well. And then just kind of trudge through it with open communication. What did I do to perfect it? I can't say I perfected anything just yet, but I think we're getting to an understanding of a fair value for the business and can make a correct decision. And there's only one way to do it. No, not at all. So this is the only way I've learned.
Mergers and acquisitions, there's hundreds of ways to do it and hundreds of ways to be successful at doing it, right? You just have to pick a path and go for it.
I just need one.
Yep. Good. Let's see, Dan Voss.
Yeah, so last week we had a few appointments, a couple of different customers that asked us to quote out like a bunch of different flooring options, where they're like, hey, can you quote out just hardwood floors for the stairs? Can you quote out hardwood floors and the stair run, or can you quote out just carpet? Can you do carpet on the stairs and hardwood on the second floor? So we had a few different appointments of those types of projects. And what I did to learn it and perfect it was just to get more comfortable with the tablet and the products, ask a lot of questions with the customers, really understand what their needs are and what their wants are. Asking a lot of questions with my franchise owner when we were back in the van. And no, there's not only one way to do that. There were plenty of ways to quote out lots of different flooring options. It's just about asking all those right questions.
Nice. All right. So thank you for that. Remember, this doesn't have to be flooring related at all. Nikki, I'm going to come to you. What's a new skill that you've recently learned? May or may not have anything to do with flooring.
Well, it's a given that I'm learning new skills with flooring, but I will share a different skill. I learned how to crochet when I was a kid, but I never was taught really how to make anything. My babysitter just taught me how to do the braided cable, but I really enjoyed making that braided cable. So when I got older, I started teaching myself to do projects, but I found that I didn't really like to do patterns. I preferred just to do freestyle crocheting, just a single crochet, and I would make scarves, hats, or Afghans. And I have my own style of Afghan. I'll have to share that in our group text and show y'all my my blanket that I've made, my Afghan that I've made, all of the close friends in my life or family. But what I did learn new was to follow a pattern, because I found something I actually wanted to make, and it wasn't freestyle. So I had to get online to follow the YouTube video. And that's how I learned how to make this particular item. And it was like a little necklace hanging, and you can put like you can put stuff in it. So I was making it for some of my kids, and you can put like chapstick in it or whatever. And I haven't perfected it yet, but that's how I learned how to do it. And there are more than one way. There are more than one way to obviously do anything when it comes to sewing or crocheting, but I did learn this one YouTuber style in doing that little project, and it was fun.
Nice. I like it. Sandra, coming to you.
Hello. I guess the only thing that comes to mind is I wanted to get back into running. And the last couple of times I tried, I got hurt. So decided to do a program by a gentleman named Jeff Galloway, and it's an app, and it's a run walk. So he's teaching you how to log in the miles by doing the run sort of walk routine instead of all running. So I wouldn't say it's perfected since I just started it. No, there's lots of running programs out there and different ways to go about doing it. But
nice. I like it. John Poon, good to see you today.
Good seeing you. I learned how to use the camera on Zoom.
Yay!
So, really what I learned right now is I'm trying to learn Pilates. And yoga. I haven't really figured it out. The reason for that is to help a straining back. You know, I've been kind of resting and being kind of lazy and sitting a lot during these couple of months, and just trying to perfect it and help it out. That's it.
Nice, nice. All right, let's see, Roger and Alondra, what's a new skill that you've recently learned?
First. Or,
Okay, I'll do it first. So to me, being a self-taught person, it's a new skill I've learned. And what did I do to learn it? Basically just add some discipline. What did you do to perfect it? Be aware that as a non-native English speaker, it makes me put some extra effort into all the learning process. So that made me realize that I needed to do that. Is there only one way to do it? Probably not, but to me, I think it just takes some discipline and sense of responsibility.
Nice, nice. Roger, how about you?
well, in my case, well, I start to have a more fluent English. The way I'm doing it is well, speaking with people like you. Well, I start to understand better the InspireNet on the tablet, doing the exercise in the weeks, well, the week 1, week 2, and yeah, I mean, like I'm getting better in the on the tablet.
Nice.
But yes.
Nice, I love it. Jeremy.
I guess I'm trying to learn how to connect Wi-Fi devices that don't always like to stay connected and intermixed to like printers and computers and things like that. But I've been wiring solenoids and dosing equipment to try to automate activities that I have to do every day for the saltwater reef tank water exchange and chemical testing. So I'm trying to learn how to automate that so I can concentrate on selling floors. Nice. And the way I learned it, I guess, is getting on chats, reading into forums, trying to understand code and write code, just research YouTube videos, writing things down, trying it again. That's how I perfected it. And there's probably not one way to do it, multiple ways, but some of this is pretty technical. If you do it wrong, it's not going to work right. So there really is one way to do some of these. So like I said, talked in circles with the last one.
Nice, nice. Let's see, Rosa. And we can't hear you. So we're gonna fight with audio again today. You might want to try dialing in with your phone. So leave your laptop up and then use the dial-in instructions with your phone. I'm gonna go to Robin and then I'll come back. Oh, now we got you.
Yay!
Yeah.
What I was saying is that the new skill that I've learned is a software called SketchUp. And it's been really fun to do. I've created just kitchen and bathroom layouts. I got a book that, walked me step by step, and also a bunch of YouTube videos, a lot of hours to help me perfect it for sure. Lots of hours, lots of patience. And I'm sure there's more than one way to do it. Definitely more than one way. I went through different YouTube videos that was kind of stressful, but definitely more than one way to do it.
Nice. Nice. Robin.
Hey guys, I was thinking about how to answer that question. Either I learned how to be a pro assassin because I'm about to murder some people, or so that was a dumb joke I just realized, but I think I'm a professional shoe fitter now. We joined a local church like 6 months ago, and I was trying to learn and teach myself how to be a better person, but we had a helping hands event where we basically supported surrounding schools and their students with helping them get equipped with new backpacks and shoes. And I learned how to be a professional shoe fitter. So I measured probably around 4,000 little stinky feet over the weekend. I'm exhausted as it can be. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And now I know exactly how a foot looks like and how a foot needs to fit a shoe. So good to go. In case this doesn't work out, I can sell some shoes maybe.
Perfect. Perfect. Let's see, Amy.
I do have to call in on my cell phone because my audio doesn't work. Let's see. I've been trying to figure out, like Robin, how to answer this. So I think I'm learning how to basically do everything for an office. So I have built filing cabinets. Today I'll program a Ring doorbell. I've built desks. I put up a wireless router. I have figured out how to build everything that comes in. Even filing cabinets don't come put together. So learning how to build anything and everything that needs to go into an office. And how did I learn? Rex and I didn't kill each other either, but he's like, no, do that one. And no, I've not perfected it. My desk doesn't even fully work.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Let's see. How about Jen Reichel?
Hello. Actually pretty funny. Just like Nikki, I learned how to crochet, and it sounds like we might be learning how to crochet almost the exact same thing. It's a necklace that holds things. So we'll have to touch base on that. But the other thing I learned how to do was sharpen the blades on my mower. And I did that using YouTube videos. And then did not perfect it, but it is sharper and it did mow better. So my son was, I don't know, I don't think he actually cared. He hates mowing the yard, but that's just too bad. So
I love it. I love it. Let's see. How about Nick?
I think I just started recently playing tennis, so that's probably a new skill I learned. I don't think I mastered it yet, but always wanted to play it. A lot of my friends played it, so that was something kind of maybe towards us doing it. What did I learn? I think I love watching tennis, so I guess watching the pros do it. Again, I know I'm probably not as good as them, but I mean, definitely Wimbledon helped this weekend watching it. And what do I do to perfect it? I guess watching others play, YouTube, it's a big one. And no, I don't think there's only one way to do it. There's many ways to play and perfect it. So
Nice. Nice. All right. So I think I've caught everyone. If I didn't, please speak up. But I think I've got everybody. So I'll share with you with mine. And no, I'm not anywhere near perfect at this. I'm teaching myself how to weld. I'm doing an online class. But you know, welding, just like a lot of the skills that you guys have talked about, crocheting and drifting go-karts, that's one of my favorite ones. You know, all these different things that you've talked about learning how to do. You can't just watch a YouTube video and then go do it. I mean, you can watch a YouTube video and go do it, but you're not going to be perfect. Any skill in life, you have to practice it. There is no skill that we just pick up and automatically we're perfect at it. It doesn't work that way. Even the best concert pianists, even the best athletes in the world, no matter whatever the discipline is, everybody has to practice what they are trying to get good at. It's just the way the human condition is. I mean, that's the way we're wired. So it's funny, I've been trying to teach myself how to weld. Last week while I was in Mexico, I was given the opportunity to weld a lot. One of the project that I was put on, they wanted to extend the roof of this building, and so I had to pull up trusses that had already been made, metal trusses that had already been made, and then weld those into place, and then weld C-purlings on top of those. And there was a ton of fitting and, standing in the hot sun, and a lot of welding, standing on top of scaffolding and teetering on walk boards and whatever else in order to do what needed to be done. So it was a ton of fun. But it absolutely put that skill to the test. And well, I will say that structurally they're going to hold, but they're not pretty. So that's, that's something that I'm working on.
Hey, Arlen.
So, yes.
Hey, did you follow all OSHA guidelines and safety protocols while you were down there?
I followed 0 OSHA guidelines and safety protocols. I followed absolutely none. I was up probably 20 feet in the air without a harness. I was welding without a leather. I mean, I did have a welding hood, so that was good. I had that. That's probably the only thing, we were using an angle grinder without any guards. We couldn't even find a guard for it. It didn't matter. Let's just go. So there were no safety protocols used. All right. So why did I have you guys work through this? Well, if it isn't obvious already, sales is a skill. There is no question in my mind that sales is a skill. Yes, you will talk to some people that say, oh, I'm a born salesman. I don't believe it. I believe maybe there's 2% of the population that are actually born salespeople, and everybody else actually has to work to get there. Nobody is going to be a great salesperson just because they decide, oh, I'm going to be a great salesperson. You have to work at this. This is something that takes practice. And just like whether it's welding, whether it's learning how to play tennis, whether it's crochet, whether it's, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, whatever skill it is that you're trying to learn, you have to do it and you have to practice it. And not only do you practice it, but then you reflect on what you did, you look at what you did and make corrections and move forward from there, right? So if you had a coach that never gave you any corrections, if you had a coach that never told you how you could improve, that really wouldn't be much of a coach. And so when you think about sales, if you think about sales as a skill, you really want a coach that's going to help you get better by showing you what you can get better doing. And that means that you have a coach that's with you that's actually giving you that feedback. So as we get started, just utilize the chat box for this. As we get started, if I were to ask you right now to go out and run an appointment and flip the customer a price, what would your confidence level be on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 means I'm not even sure how to get to the customer's house, and 10 means, yeah, I could run the appointment, I'm going to land this sale. Where would you rate your confidence on a scale of 1 to 10? And what do you feel like you need to get the most out of this week in order to boost that number up? So maybe you're a 2 or 3, that's fine. This is what I feel like I need the most out of this week. Maybe you're a 9 already, 8 or 9, but this is where I think I need a little bit of help. So go ahead and take 2 or 3 minutes and just jot down in the chat box where you feel like you're at this week. And let's see. Find my chat box. All right, good. Okay, good. So here we go. We've got, depending on the complexity of the job, that's good. All of it, okay. All right, Eric, we got you covered. Software and pricing, okay. Product knowledge and building proposals, good. Putting all the pieces together, picking the right materials, the right boards, material choices, the company story, making sure that you got all the right details in the tablet, good, good. Limiting options, I like that, limiting options. Obviously, if we bring in 3,000 samples into the house, it's going to be overwhelming to people. Practice on the company story, proposal complexity, jobs with multiple rooms, multiple flooring options, good, 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 I love it. The entire process, great. Let's see, overcoming obstacles, learning the nuances of different floors, good, 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 good. All right. So what is it that I'm looking for this week? You guys can continue to draft those. What is it that I'm looking for this week? Well, just like we've had coming into this week, you know, I'm going to ask you guys to be open, to be engaged, to be fearless. Now, part of this week, this is going to feel different than the weeks leading up to this, because today we're going to spend a lot of time together in a big room setting, but the rest of the week we're going to spend a lot of time just in breakout rooms. And in those breakout rooms, I'm going to ask you to give each other feedback. Now, if I'm in a breakout room with Nate and I pat Nate on the back and say, Nate, you did a really good job. Well, that's going to make Nate feel good, but it's not going to give him anything to improve on. Okay. So now I also don't want to say, well, Nate, that was sorry. Okay. Well, okay, we can do better than that, right? But I can absolutely give Nate some pointers and say, if you were to say this a little different here, or as a customer, this is the way this made me feel. So when I say be fearless, one, be open to that feedback, and two, be fearless about giving somebody feedback, because just patting them on the back, although it feels nice, it doesn't actually help each other, right? Have your cameras on. Let's have some fun with this week. So today, where's today? I'm on the wrong page. What is this week going to look like? We have some long days ahead, no problem with that. Today we will wrap probably between 3:30 and 4 o'clock Eastern, but we will stop and take breaks. I will absolutely try to manage the energy in the room. One thing that I'm going to ask, or a couple of things that I'm going to ask you guys to do, when we do take breaks, be really, really punctual about coming back. Because a lot of times when we come back from a break, I'm immediately putting you into a breakout room, and I can't do that until everybody's back. So we end up waiting for the last person that's on their way back in. The second thing is distractions. I know these are going to be long days. I feel them too. As much as absolutely possible, put the cell phones on silent, disengage from email for this period of time. Do everything you can to be focused and engaged on what we're doing here. Now, on feedback. One of the key principles of this week is to be able to get feedback from someone on what you're doing well and where you could improve. And that's all about driving that skill development. It's all about improving your skill. So the beautiful thing is, if you do a mock appointment, if you do a pretend appointment with another design associate, if you do a pretend appointment with your franchisee or with one of the ops coaches, the reality is, if you screw everything up, it doesn't matter. Because it's not a real job anyway. You're not in front of a real customer. So this is absolutely the time to throw some stuff out there and see how it sticks. Every day. So we're going to meet today. We will not meet tomorrow. I'm sorry. I'm having to work around some corporate meetings and some other things. We will not meet tomorrow. We will meet Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. So we'll meet today, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. At the end of each one of those days, I will ask you to go through an appointment with someone. So if you're a design associate on this call, I'm going to ask you to run an appointment with either your franchise owner or another DA in your business and have them give you a feedback evaluation on what you're doing well and where you need some improvement. I'm going to ask that gets sent to me at the end of that night. So you run an appointment, you get done at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time it is, send it to me that night. For the franchise owners that are on this call, you are being teamed up with other ops coaches. Some of them maybe you've met, some of them maybe you haven't met. You've been teamed up with other ops coaches to have the opportunity to go through either a mock appointment or a piece of that sales system. This is going to determine what we work on the next day. So that ops coach is going to send me a copy of the evaluation at the end of the night. They know that. And this gives me the opportunity to see what we need to work on the next day. So these are very, very long weeks for me. These are very long days for me, which is fine. I'm not complaining about that. But I need to get the evaluation forms at night so that the next morning I go ahead and restructure. I've got like 110 different exercises that we can do. And I picked the ones that seem to fit what most people need in the class. So if I don't get an evaluation form from you, or if your franchisee is like, oh, you're perfect, everything, it's all fives, okay, well, then that doesn't tell me what I need to work on with you. So, okay, then I don't take yours into consideration. So it's actually better to see some ones and twos scattered here and there, because then I know what we can work on. Any questions before we move forward? Any questions about this whole evaluation thing in the evening and what that looks like?
I've got one, Arlen.
Yes.
I happen to be like a half an hour from where my franchise owner is. So when you're talking about running an appointment, are we doing this all on Zoom? It's just like going, or, you know, do you want us to be there in the presence of somebody like we would be with a customer for real?
So in an ideal case, so the number one, the ideal case is that you and your franchise owner are actually running an appointment together with a real customer. That's the ideal case. Okay, but we don't have a real customer tonight. Okay, then the number two best way to do it is for you and your franchise owner to be in the same room together so that you pick up on body language and the whole 9 yards, right? And then when you're picking out samples from the van, you can actually go pick out samples and do what you would do in a customer's house. The third way to do it would be to do it on Zoom. So yes, you could do it on Zoom, but obviously with Zoom, then you have the limitations of, you know, what
That's
am I
why I was
really
going,
doing?
wait a second.
Right? So my first preference would be in front of a real customer. My second would be just do a mock appointment with your franchise owner, but in person. And then of course, you know, as a last resort, do it via Zoom. Good question. Other questions?
If we're doing it via Zoom, couldn't we have someone, like our ops coach could be watching us do the presentation to someone else, whether it's in my home or their home, I'm doing the presentation to someone else.
You could, but that gets a little complex. So Nikki, like with you, you've been teamed up with an ops coach today, and they will work with you directly.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
So Arlen, I do have a question because Rex isn't here. I think he's working his job that pays him a paycheck right now. But does he have a separate one, or is it just me because I actually am a different place than him today?
It's just you. Now, I think I probably listed your name and his name together, but really this is, so that's a good question. Where we have husband and wife teams on the call, the person that should be doing the evaluation is the person that's actually going to be in the customer's home.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Good. All right. Well, then let's jump right in.
While you're changing slides, Arlen, do we have a inspired sale evaluation tomorrow night? Despite the fact. Okay.
No, good question. No, we do not. So we have while I'm switching this out, I don't mind sharing with you guys. We have a big corporate-wide meeting tomorrow. It's actually 2 days. It's tomorrow and Wednesday. But I will miss the Wednesday one, which is fine, or I'll miss part of the Wednesday one, which is fine. And that corporate-wide meeting, the whole company is getting together in Atlanta, and as a result, we're all tied up. And so the whole company, we're all going to be tied up for the next 2 days. So I've gotten special relief, if you will. I will be a part of the meeting tomorrow. Wednesday, I'll only be in the meeting until it's time to start this. And so we'll have our normal schedule on Wednesday. All right, good. Let's jump in, shall we? So as a review, customer calls the call center, customer comes to your website, whatever, and somebody other than you books an appointment. What is the first thing you want to do with this customer?
Call them and confirm.
Okay, and we call that a setup call. All right, and what is the number one thing that I'm trying to do in this setup call?
Get them to stop Googling.
That's it. Stop Googling. Okay, so what are some things that would keep somebody from Googling? What are some things that you want to talk about to get them so excited that they're just not going to Google anybody else?
Make a personal
we're
connection,
gonna-
feel confident.
Good. Make it personal, help them feel confident. Amy?
How we're gonna make them the number one priority and how they're not gonna have to compare us to anybody else because we're awesome and everybody else isn't.
There you go. I love it. Good. Okay. What else?
Get them comfortable with you and Floor Coverings International so that if the in-home consultation goes well, they don't need to talk to anybody else.
I love it. Good. All right. So we understand the setup call. Perfect. Now we get to the house. We parked mobile showroom out front so the customer can see us, walk up, knock on the door, welcome to my home. What's the first thing we want to do in the house?
Break the ice.
Okay, so what do we call this?
The warm up.
Warm up.
Good. Right, warm up, okay. And yes, we are trying to break the ice. All right, so this is what we call step one, warm up, breaking the ice. Good. Why isn't the setup called step one? Well, we really number the steps at the house, but regardless, it's okay. All right, so what are we trying to talk about in the warm up?
Them.
Talk about
Yeah.
The customer, yeah.
We want to get to know them, their family, their kids, their lifestyle, what they want in their floors to survive.
Right, this is all about the customer. What are we not talking about?
Flooring.
Us at all.
Politics.
Yeah, of course, right. So we're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about inappropriate stuff. Yeah, for sure. Those are the off-limit subjects, right? But the big thing is, I don't want to talk about the floor. I do not want to talk about their project at all. Now, you will have that occasional customer that when you walk in the door, they just have to get it out of their system. Oh, we've had this carpet for 20 years and we need to get rid of it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Let them dump. That's okay. Let them dump. And then work your way back into a warm-up, right? Sit down on the couch, sit down at the kitchen table, ask about vacations, ask about whatever, right? But just have a conversation with somebody and get them talking about something other than the floor, okay? I want to learn about the customer. Good. Now that I've had a chance to learn about the customer, I'm going to transition to step two using these transition questions. What are those transition questions?
So
How long have you been thinking about replacing your floors?
There you go.
Okay, that's one.
What made you decide to buy with me today?
So what made you decide to do it today? Okay, that's two.
What makes you say that?
Yeah, oh really? What makes you say that? Right, so what's the point of these transition questions? Well, the
Getting rid of
transition questions do two things. One, it transitions you from step one to step two. You're verbally telling the customer, okay, now it's time to talk about business. We've had a great chat about vacations and all that good stuff, but now it's time to talk about business. So that part of the reason that we do these transition questions is just to give the customer a signal, now it's time to start talking about business. The other piece is I'm trying to get an objection, right? I want to know what is the BS reason that the customer is going to give me here in about 45 minutes. I'm going to flip a price, and I want to know what is the BS reason that this customer is going to give me for not buying. And you will hear some serious BS out there. Some of the stuff that customers will come up with is really, I mean, I thought I was doing good to make stuff up, but when you get out there and you're actually talking to real live customers and some of the crap they come up with. Now, 90% of the time, they're going to tell you, oh, I'm getting other estimates. Okay, great. But the other 10%, boy, those are the fun ones. Okay. All right. So now what is step 2? We've had our warm up, we've asked our transition questions. What's the next thing that we want to do?
Look at the space.
Yeah, okay. Let's inspect the space. Okay. And what are the things that I'm looking for when I'm inspecting the space?
Reasons why they need to replace it right now.
Okay. All right. What else?
What they like
Trying to
about
get a
it.
better understanding of really just, underlayment, what's under the floor, is it plywood, is it concrete, all the details that go with it.
All right. So part of this is the technical stuff, right? Okay. Part of this is the technical stuff. So what's my subfloor? What kind of flooring can I do? There's a lot of that technical stuff. What furniture is going to have to be moved? What am I going to have to take out? All that good stuff, right? So for sure, that's a piece of it. What else are we doing in step 2?
Talking to the customer about what they want, what they don't like, what they want to see different, all of that.
Absolutely. So what do you want your new floor to look like? How do you want it to feel? How do you want it to last? What do I mean by how do you want it to last?
Durability.
Yeah, what kind of durability are we looking at, right? I mean, are you throwing some carpet down so that you can throw the house on the market for sale in 2 weeks? Or are you looking for something that's going to last you for 20 years? Okay, good. That's important to know. All right, good. So what's next? Now we've had a chance to inspect the space. And by the way, this is where we also do the reference list. Okay, so this gives me an opportunity at the end of step 2 to give somebody a reference list and give them the opportunity to call and talk to other customers. Okay, give them an opportunity to call and talk to other customers. Why is it important for somebody to call and talk to other customers?
So they know how awesome you are and it gives them something to do while you're measuring.
Yeah, there's a piece of that for sure. What else?
Build trust with us.
Absolutely, it's going to build some trust with us.
It sets us apart from anyone else that's coming into their home to do this inspection and give them a proposal. No, but no one else is asking them to do this.
You want to keep them distracted during the dead time, right? Like you don't want them sort of wandering off.
Yeah, so there is an element of a distraction for sure. I won't discount that. But does anyone know, this is going to seem like a random fact, does anyone know how often people buy new cars or lease new cars? On average, do you know what, in the US anyway, I don't know about Canada, but in the US, how often do people change cars?
Every 2 years.
It's about every 2 years, okay? And as a result, people get pretty good at buying cars. Now, I'm not saying that people get good at getting the best price for the car, but people know what the process looks and feels like, okay? I go to this used car lot or I go to this new car dealer and we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about this. And I mean, it's just, it actually becomes something that people have done so many times in their life that people know what to expect. On average, how often do people buy flooring? How often do people change their flooring?
7 years?
Every 15 years.
Yeah, it's somewhere around the 10 to 12 year mark. Now, do you think flooring changes over 10 or 12 years? Do you think the market has changed in the last 10 years? Yeah, the market's changed dramatically in the last 2 years, let alone 10 years, okay? So what ends up happening is people, maybe they bought flooring 15 years ago, but the process is so completely different now. Wouldn't it be nice for the customer to have somebody else to talk to just to understand what the process is? I mean, if I bought a car 2 years ago, I kind of understand what the process is, so I don't really need to talk to anybody. But if I were to, let's say, I were to install a new swimming pool, right? We don't have a pool. My yard is too small for a pool, but if I were gonna put in a new pool, I'd probably wanna talk to somebody that's done it so that I understand what I'm getting into, right? This is what it means to have a backhoe come and dig up all the dirt in the backyard. This is what it means to have to reroute lines that are in the backyard. This is what it means to come in and do the work, right? It'd be nice to have somebody to talk me through that. So a big piece of this reference list is helping the customer understand what is the process that they're about to go through.
Hey, Marlon?
Yes.
I've got a question, and this is probably pretty clear, but what if you never had a customer? Maybe it's your first customer, brand new franchise. Maybe this question's been asked before, but what do you do?
So you don't have them yet, okay? That's fine. I would offer you two alternatives. One, get to know some other franchisees that are reasonably close to you. Okay, now you say, well, Augusta, there's nobody close to me. Well, actually, I mean, you got people in Atlanta, you got people in Columbia, you got people around you that are reasonably close.
Yeah.
And see if you could talk to them about using some of their references. Go and actually meet some of their customers and make a reference list with their customers. Because this isn't about, oh, I met Eric and Eric was a great guy. This is the process that Floor Coverings International used. Okay, so you could actually use someone else's customers if they were open to it. The other possibility, at least to start with, is you could use personal connections. Now, if you're going to use personal connections, I am not asking anyone to lie for you, for me, for anybody else. When I started this business, when I started my franchise, I went back to people that I had worked with for years. And I told them very clearly, do not lie to people when they call you. So if somebody asks you, what flooring did you have done? I don't want you to make anything up. I'm not asking you to tell them about the flooring. Then it becomes more of a character reference, and I'm going to change the questions at the bottom of the page. So the questions, instead of saying, did Floor Coverings International do everything they said they would do, I'm going to change that question to say, is Arlen somebody that does what he says he's going to do? Right? And so I'm going to change the questions at the bottom so that it feels a lot more like a character reference. It's not going to give the customer the opportunity to feel the process, but it is going to give the customer the opportunity to find out something about me and about what I'm going to do for them. So again, I'll do this just like I did the question that Jen asked. First choice, second choice, third choice. First choice is you actually have your customers that you're going to. Second choice, go to somebody else's customers. That might be, so for design associates, that might be people that your franchise location has done business with. It might be another franchise location. Third choice, hey, turn it into a personal reference list, at least until you've got customers to leverage.
Thanks.
Would it be wise to mix that up? For instance, I could use some of my neighboring franchise owners' customers and then some of my personal?
You can, but you have to be. You would have to make. You would need to keep the reference list clean, right?
Okay.
So this is one list, and it's other franchisees' references. It's their phone numbers, and it's those sets of questions. Then the personal sheet has a different set of questions. So I keep them separate, but sure, you could use both.
Okay.
Arlen, do you have a sense for existing franchisees, how often they follow this process in the field? It's like
probably 10% of the time.
Okay.
The reference list is one of the least used tactics, and I will say it's a tactic, right? It's not fundamental to the inspired sale, but it is one of the least used tactics. And why do you think it's one of the least used tactics?
People probably don't feel comfortable doing it. The franchisees don't feel comfortable doing it?
There's a comfort factor, but there's something even easier than that.
They're lazy. They don't line up their references.
That's exactly it. It is work. It takes work to get reference list pictures and to keep those sheets up to date. I mean, I probably had, I don't know, when it was all said and done, I probably had 30 different reference sheets. Okay, but that's 30 times 6. That's 180 different pictures. That's a lot of people to manage and to, I mean, it's work. It is work to maintain these reference lists. Absolutely, it's work. So there's no one that disagrees that this is a good idea. It's just the implementation of it that's worked. All right, so we've had a chance to look at the space with the customer. We've gotten a bunch of technical input, like what the subfloor is and all that good stuff, right? We've gotten all those things, and now we've given them a reference list, and they're off calling the reference list, and what are we going to do now?
Measure.
Measure.
Measure the space, yeah.
Inspection video.
All right, so we're going to measure this, okay? We're going to come up with what I call my rough draft price. Okay, rough draft. Okay, we're going to come up with what I call my rough draft price. So I'm going to change the product later. So right now it's okay to use PGs because I'm just trying to get close, right? I'll change that later. Get my rough draft price, okay? And I'm going to shoot my inspection video. So what's the main reason for the inspection video?
So you told the customer you were listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and if I tell the customer, if I show the customer, not just tell them, but if I show the customer that I was actually listening to them, what does that do?
It's the primary point of concern, what their issues are.
Yeah. Right, it's going to show that I was actually listening to what their concerns, their issues, right? It's going to build my credibility, okay? It's absolutely going to build my credibility. That inspection video is short, sweet, 45 seconds to the point. I'm just highlighting a couple of key things so that the customer sees that, yeah, I really was listening to them. But at the end of the day, that's there to build credibility, okay? So the customer sees that, they're like, yep, you got it, good, okay? So what happens here? What happens next? I've measured the space. I've shot my inspection video. I came up with, let's say I came up with 3 options. Okay. Now what am I going to do?
Draw the floor plan and go to your mobile showroom and pull product and create options.
Nice. Okay, so I'll make a big arrow here. Get to step 4. But this is where I'm at the mobile showroom. And I'm picking boards. Okay, now I came up with 3 options back here. So, option 1, option 2, option 3. How many boards are going to represent option 1?
3 to 4.
3 to 4.
Yep. How many boards are going to represent option 2?
2 to 3.
2 to 3. And how many boards are going to represent option 3?
1 to 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2 boards. Okay. And so by doing it this way, as we get into more and more options, we're narrowing it down. We're bringing that funnel down, and we're reducing the scope. We're reducing the number of options that customers have. Okay. All right. Good. Step 4. So now I come back into the home. What's step 4 all about?
The company story.
Good. And what's the point of the company story? Why do we bother?
Tell them who we are and why we are their best choice.
Yeah, okay. This is your opportunity to differentiate yourself. is it. This is your opportunity to differentiate yourself. If you don't give a company story, if you're like, well, they don't want to hear this and we're just going to blow past this. You haven't shown them you haven't told them why you're better. You haven't shown them why you're better. You haven't done anything to build any value, which means now you are really going to compete on price and price alone. Well, if you're competing on price and price alone, then you're not really doing sales. At that point, you're just an order taker. And if you're just going to be an order taker, well, then you're not in the right business. Because frankly, you're not going to be terribly successful at being the lowest price. It's not that our stuff is more expensive. It's just that you're giving customers a much better value a much better value in terms of the overall experience. If somebody wants the cheapest price, they can go to Floor and Decor, which is basically the Walmart for flooring, and they can go put it in themselves. They don't need us. So this company story is all about building your value. Okay, and it's one of those things. Now, somebody should ask. Blake asked me how often people are doing the reference list. Somebody should ask, how often are people doing the company story? Well, it's a lot more than the reference list, but it's still not 100%. And it drives me crazy because this is the one tool that you have that will absolutely set you apart from anybody else that walks into the house. Because as many secret shops as I've done, every now and then you'll get an Empire guy that tries to give you sort of a verbal company story, but there's nobody that has a formal company story that actually goes through the process and explains to the customer who they are and what they do. So this is designed, who we are and what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. All the questions get answered.
Hey, Arlen.
Yes.
Do you ever have, I was just thinking about it because of like going through and memorizing the company story. Do you ever find that you just kind of rattle off, if you've got it in your mind, it's just like going rattle off the company story just without necessarily going, being on your tablet or showing a video? I mean, do you think that's a viable option if you're just good at talking to the customer and just telling them these details?
I don't think it's as good.
Okay.
And the reason I don't think it's as good is because if you what's the best way for me to say this? If you feel like something is important, you will make it seem important by taking the time to do it, right? If you don't feel like it's important and you just sort of halfway do it, well, then the customer feels like, oh, that's not that terribly important. Mm-hmm. So there's little things that we do. There's little things that you're going to do that make a big difference to the customer, because it's not that you're telling the customer outright, this is really important, you need to listen to this. I mean, that sounds like you're talking to a third grader. But it's more like, because I'm taking the time to do this, and I'm showing this to you, and it's a professionally done, and it looks really good, it's like, oh, this is really important, I should hear this. And it makes a difference. Okay, good. So part of the company story, step 5 is the installation process. And that's done in the video, okay? So there's an installation video, okay? And I know when you watch that video, you get through the animated stuff, and then you get to the before and after pictures, right? Does anybody struggle with what to do during those before and after pictures?
A little bit, because they're not mine. So there's somebody else's pictures, and it's like, here's some beautiful work we've done. And I wish at some point we could replace it with our work.
Okay, good. All right. So let me change maybe the way you think about those before and after pictures. I want you to think about that time, never mind what's on the screen, but I want you to think about that time as being added time, if you will, for you to be able to get your key points across. Okay? So never mind the fact that they're before and after pictures. it's something that's playing there for the customer to see, but this is a beautiful opportunity for you to further the how question. What do I mean? Well, that might be a great time to remind the customer, hey, we need you to move the knickknacks. We're going to move the heavy stuff. Okay, this might be the perfect time to tell the customer, you know, my installers are hand-picked. This might be the perfect time to tell the customer that my installers, that I pay better. Okay, maybe you saw something as you were walking through the house and you're like, you know, in the upstairs hallway, I felt a soft spot in the floor, and we're going to take care of that soft spot for you. That time that's at the end where those before and after pictures are playing, I want you to think of that as it's like 15 seconds, but it's 15 seconds that's purposely there for you to be able to customize the how we're going to do this job for you. Does that help? Okay, good. All right, so now we've gotten finished with the company story. We've worked through the installation video. What are we going to do next?
Present the product.
Yeah, let's look at some product. All right, what's my favorite way to present product? You guys know this by now.
PG-3.
Because you said, yeah.
I chose this product for you because you said whatever it is. Okay. Now you can talk to the customer about fabs if you want to. You know, you can do product demos when you get to the point where you're really cool. You know, you want to be really cool and show some product demos. I'm a big demo fan, by the way. We don't cover them in this class, but I'm a big fan of doing product demos. You can throw those in where you feel like it's appropriate. You know, you can move stuff around the room and help the customer pick out the colors, and you can use the little black L's. All these different tools to help the customer pick stuff out. But to me, the most important piece of this is I chose this product for you because you said whatever. And that just reinforces the fact that I've listened to the customer and this is exactly what the customer was looking for. Yeah, Alondra, you had a question?
Yes, Arlen, you asked that, I mean, you say that with every board you show the client?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Now reword it, okay? I mean, make it your words, right? You don't have to repeat every word I say word for word. But the point is that I'm choosing this board for you. I picked this board for you because of this. You told me you wanted this, and so I picked this board for you, right? And you can reword it, that's fine. But this is why I picked this board for you. It gives a reason behind what you're doing rather than just, oh, I like this board because it gives me a big commission. I mean, come on. Okay? All right? Now, we've shown the customer product. Now we're getting into new territory. So everything that's on the board here, you guys have already seen. There's nothing new on the board right now. Step 7. This is called the pre-close. This to me is, okay, it's not the most important thing, but this is a very important step in this process. The pre-close is what I call a diagnostic step. It's going to help me understand if what I've done up until this point has been good or if what I've done up until this point was not enough. So does anybody remember from the homework, does anybody remember what this pre-close question is?
Other than price or payment, what would be the reason we couldn't get your job started today?
Yep. Now, if you say it really, really fast, like you're trying to avoid the question, ooh, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? People are going to look at you like, what? I don't, whatever. No, I just need to see the price, okay? This is a question that I'm going to slow down. I want to enunciate my words, and I really want the customer to understand the question. What am I asking? Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? Okay, now think about this. Zoom out for just a second. What are the 4 reasons that people buy?
Person.
You mean buy from somebody or buy a floor?
Buy a car, buy a house,
Oh, okay.
buy a
yeah.
house, buy whatever. What are
Person.
the 4
They like the salesperson, they like the company, they like the product, and they like the price.
There you go. Person, company, the product, the price. Now, up until step 7, okay, here we are at step 7. What have I covered so far? I've covered the person. How did I cover the person?
The warm up.
Yeah, in the warm-up. Okay. Have I covered the company?
Company story.
Yeah, in the company story. Good. Have I covered the product?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So watch what this question is trying to do. Okay, this is, I'm trying to give you guys sort of the backstory. This is the why we do things the way that we do them, so that you guys understand sort of the theory behind it, right? Watch what this question is asking. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
So yeah, it's just
Telling you if you did a good job on the other 3 things.
That's exactly right. This is where that pre-close comes into play. Now, what I would love to ask is I would love to ask somebody, have I shown you that I'm the right person to do the job? Have I shown you that we're the right company to buy from? Have I shown you the product that you absolutely love? Okay, so since I've got those 3 nailed, we're in agreement that as long as I get the price right, we should have a deal. Okay, I'd love to ask the question that blunt, but I can't ask the question that blunt. I have to ask the question a different way. So this is how I'm going to ask that question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? How do you expect the customer to answer that question?
Well, a lot of times they say, well, no, they talk about getting other estimates a lot, but that's price and payment. So
Well, is it though? Think about it, Jen. What are they wanting other estimates for?
Because you may not have sold them on the right product or the right company or the right salesman.
That's it, because they haven't seen the price yet. So if at this point, somebody is telling you, oh, I need to get other estimates. What does that tell me? That tells me that I didn't nail the first 3 items. I haven't convinced them that I'm the right person, or I haven't convinced them that we're the right company, or I haven't convinced them that this is the right product. If I get, so I'm going to break this into 2 buckets. The pre-close, negative pre-close, and positive pre-close. Okay, a positive pre-close, all they're asking is about buying questions. Okay, a positive pre-close might sound like this. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And the customer says, no, it just comes down to price. Okay, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? Well, I just got to make sure it fits in my budget. Okay, I'm not asking the customer for the sale, not yet, I will. I'm not asking the customer for the sale. I'm simply asking the customer, have we got everything covered so now we can talk about price? Okay, but if the customer is giving me a negative pre-close, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? Well, I don't know. I've got this fence that we got to do outside. What fence? We never talked about a fence. What is that? Where is that coming from? All right, so all of a sudden somebody starts throwing the fence at you, or I had one customer tell me, well, you know, I've got this car that, I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and I'm really going to have to look at the car first and see what I can do there. What does that tell me? I haven't shown them. Right, I haven't shown them I'm the right person, that this is the right company, or this is the right product, because now what is the customer doing? They haven't seen the price. Now they're already trying to push me out the door, and they haven't seen the price yet. So this question doesn't have anything to do with price, even though I'm asking, other than price or payment, would there be any reason that we couldn't get this job started today? It doesn't have anything to do with price. It has everything to do with what happened before price. This pre-close, if you were to list the inspired sale out like this, from steps 1 through step 6, from the warm-up to product, step 7, and then 8 and beyond, okay, this is before price. Or BP. Okay, this is after price. Call it AP if you like. Okay, before price and after price. What's the difference between before price and after price?
Step 7.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the difference in the customer? What's the difference between before price and after price? What's different about the customer before they see your number versus after they see your number?
One, they're still anxious to see it and want to know, I love this floor, I want to get it in, what's it cost, or I don't really care what you take it out of my house. And the other one is, well, definitely know whether or not they like it or not.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It's realistic. It's like, now they know exactly what it's going to take to do it.
Right, okay. And I will tell you that after price, I'll put this in red. After price, your customer is either going to become a buyer or a liar. Okay? Before price, they're telling you the truth. After price, they're either buying to you or they're lying from you. Or they're either buying from you or they're lying to you. Because what will happen after price is, let's say your price is higher than they expected. Now they're going to do everything they can to politely get you out of their house. And that's where a good closing tactic, a good closing technique will help you uncover what the real objection is, and so that you can deal with that real objection and solve that real objection. Now, if you ask the pre-close question and you get a negative response, what does that tell you? Well, it probably means that I'm not going to land this sale today. I might still land it, but I'm probably not landing it in the home today, okay? But it tells me that there's something in what I've done in steps 1 through 6, there's something there that I need to work on. So it might be, I don't know, it might be that I get a lot of people that when I say other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? It might be that I'm getting a lot of people that are saying, well, yeah, we still need to get out of their estimate. And I go back and reflect on it and I realize, you know what? I'm not really doing the company story. I'm just walking around the house telling the customer about us, but I'm not really sitting down with the tablet and doing the company story. Okay, well, that might be something that you need to bring back into your quiver of arrows. It might be that you're getting, oh, I still need to get other estimates, I'm still not sure. And you realize, you know what, I really haven't gone out and refreshed my reference list, and as a result, I haven't been using it because I don't want to overuse the people on my list. So that might tell you that you need to go out and get a fresh reference list. It might be that you ask this question, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And they say, well, I'm just not sure that I'm ready to get this done. I mean, you know, we could probably wait a couple of years before doing it. And then you realize, you know what, I probably, you know, I've been skipping the inspection video, and that inspection video is designed to build some urgency into this. It might be that I need to go back and practice doing the inspection video so that I can get good at that, so that I can help drive some urgency with my customers. Okay? Now, I will tell you that every one of these things that I've got listed up here, whether it's the transition questions, whether it's a reference list, whether it's the inspection video, you know, whether it's a company story, whether it's how you present the product, a lot of these are tactics. I say they're tactics because, I mean, at the heart, the Inspired Sales System is a skeleton, and I'm trying to help you add some meat and some skin to the bones to make this, to flesh this out as a real sales system. But at the end of the day, if you've chosen, hey, you know what, the reference list, that just isn't for me. Okay, well, it's not for you. But if you start getting a lot of negative pre-closes, you might go back and figure out, how do I get people to understand the process so that they feel comfortable with the process and going with us? Okay, this is why I say that the pre-close question is such an important question. It's not that the pre-close question is going to help you land this sale. The pre-close question is going to help you understand why you didn't land sales so that you can go back and fix it. This is a built-in feedback mechanism. Does that make sense? Do you see how that can work for you? Now, I will tell you that there is an element that does help you land the sale, because whether you get a negative feedback, whether you get a negative, like I need to get other estimates, or you get a positive, no, this really just comes down to price. Whatever objection you get here, whatever you hear the customer say, that's going to help you understand what your step 8 is about to look like. Okay. All right. Give me 5 more minutes and we're going to take a little break. Maybe 3 more minutes. As we go through the rest of the day today, for today, okay, this is important to make a distinction. We have to pretend something, we have to make an assumption here. For the rest of the day today, we're going to assume that we ask this question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? So we're going to assume that we ask that question. And we're going to assume that the customer said it really just comes down to price. Okay, and why am I doing this? Because there's two paths here, right? I either got a negative pre-close or I got a positive pre-close, okay? If we got a negative pre-close, then we got to go back and work on steps 1 through 6. In order to push forward to step 8, I need to assume that we got a positive pre-close. So what we're going to do after the break is I'm going to walk you through some closing techniques. But these closing techniques assume that I got a positive pre-close. Let's just push this forward. I'm assuming they got a positive pre-close, and now we're going to move into the close. Okay, but what if I get a negative pre-close? Well, then we have to work on steps 1 through 6. Okay. For the rest of the day today, we're going to make an assumption that we asked the pre-close question and that we got a positive pre-close. And what do I mean by positive pre-close? The customer said, no, it just comes down to price, or I've got to fit it in my budget, or whatever. It has to do with the buying question of this is what it's going to take. This is the how I need to be able to do this for. Does that make sense? We have to pick a path, and I'm picking the path of the positive pre-close for us to work through the closing mechanisms.
Will
Okay?
we go through the negative pre-close at some point?
Yep, we'll go through the negative, but the problem with it's not a problem. The thing with the negative is if you get a negative pre-close, now we got to go back to step 1, right?
I guess
And
the
so we got to
biggest one
work
I
through,
wanna
right? We
hear
got to
is
work
on-
through steps 1 through 6. Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to do. On my clock, my phone says it's 12:28. I want to give you guys a 15-minute break to go use the restroom, get a snack, whatever. We will take a longer break later to actually get some food. But for now, let's just keep a 15-minute break. Get something to drink, whatever you need to do, and be back. When my clock says 12:45, I'm going to start back. And so if you guys would please be punctual, you got about 15 minutes to go do your thing. You can turn your camera off now, and then when you're back and you're ready to go, turn the camera back on, and that way I know you're ready. All right, so as you guys are coming back, please turn your cameras back on so I know we're ready to rock and roll. We are ready to get started. Well, good, my helper has come up here. Your helper. Oh, yeah. So Daisy. Hello, Daisy. She's not very happy at the moment. She doesn't like to be picked up. Well, she doesn't mind too bad. Good stuff. All right, let's go. So we made the assumption, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And we're making the assumption that the customer says, nope, it just comes down to price. That's it. It just comes down to price. So let me shift screens again. So I asked the customer, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started? And the customer says, no, it really just comes down to price. I mean, I got to make sure that this is a decent price for what we're doing. Okay, great. So now I'm going to give the customer what I call a commitment statement. The customer still hasn't seen the tablet yet. Now in the commitment statement, I'm telling the customer, well, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to help you get the floors that you love and deserve. It doesn't have to be word for word, but I really want to communicate to the customer that, you know what, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get these floors. Okay. So now I show the customer the price. Now, probably tomorrow we'll go through a more detailed, this is how you can present price, but at least for now, let's just agree on I'm going to explain to the customer what their options are when it comes to, oops, I don't want to do that. Nope. Pencil back. All right, so I want to explain to the customer what their options are. This is what it looks like to pay outright. This is what it looks like to use some sort of payment terms. Okay. Why do you suspect that both of those are on your screen?
Because you don't know if somebody's going to want to do payment or payment terms.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What's really funny is different people look at price differently. Some people are going to look at price, and when they see this price, they're going to immediately go to, oh, this is a $12,000 floor. And that's where their head is going to be, and they're going to be thinking about a $12,000 floor. Other people, when you show them this screen, they're going to immediately zone in on one of the payment plans. Let's say they zone in on $330 a month. And now they're thinking about $330 a month. What's really funny about this, that doesn't mean they don't have $12,000 that they could plop down. It's just that's the way they think about money. They think about money in terms of, well, this is what it is, you know, if I'm looking at a project, this is how much of my paycheck is this going to be, or how does this compare to a car payment I'm making, or to a mortgage payment, or whatever else, okay? It's not a statement of how much money they have or don't have. It's just different people think about it differently. It was a few months ago, I had a husband and wife team on this call, and we got to this exact point, and it was really funny because the husband looked at the $12,000 and said, wow, $12,000 is a lot of money for the floor. And the wife said, yeah, but it's only $330 a month. And I'm so here we are, you know, two people working from the same bank account, but just because of the way that we're wired, some people look at your total price and that's what they zone in on. And other people look at the payment plans and that's what they zone in on. Okay. So the beautiful thing is we're going to present both. Now, the way that I'm going to present price to the customer is I'm going to say something like this. It doesn't have to be exactly this, but I'm going to say something like this. The total retail price for your project is $12,487. You were able to get in touch with 3 of the people on my reference list, and that gives you a $150 discount. That brings your total down to just $12,337. Now, I never know how a customer might want to pay for a project like this, so I took the liberty of putting together some payment options. On 24 months, your project would be $586 a month. 36 months would be just $415, and 48 months would be $331 a month. Now, once your job is complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment plans? So you can wordsmith that however you want to. That's the way I do it. I like to walk the customer through this, and I like to really emphasize this is a big number. Total retail price for your project is I make it sound big, $12,487. I want that to sound big. I also want the reference list discount to sound big. And you got 3 references. That's great. That gives you $150 off. And then this, I want to make it sound small. Okay. And then that brings your total down to just $12,337. So you notice on the one hand, like your total retail price, $12,487. I'm using all the words, all the numbers. That's just $12,337. I just make it sound smaller. Okay. It's a little inflection. It's a small thing. Don't worry about it. It's just a small thing. When I get to payments, I like to make the 24 months sound big. On 24 months, that would be $587 a month. I like to make the 36 months sound small. 36 months is just 415. And then 48 months, I try to make it sound big.
You lost me. So where did we get, how do we go from option? How do we get to one option? Are you going to come back to that or?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is option one. This is option one.
Okay.
Okay. So on the tablet, so Eric, we'll role play here for a second. Eric, other than price or payment. By the way, you don't see this screen yet. Okay. You're not seeing this yet. Okay. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
Absolutely not, Arlen. You're awesome.
Great. Well, I'll tell you what, Eric, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get the floors that you love and deserve. All right. Now, on the tablet, I pull up this screen. I turn the tablet to you so that you can see the tablet, right? You're seeing the tablet. And now I'm going to say, Eric, the total retail price for your project is $12,487. You were able to get in touch with 3 of the people on my reference list. That's a $150 discount, and that'll bring your total down to just $12,337. I don't know how people might want to invest in their home, so I took the liberty of coming up with some payment plans. On 24 months, that would be $586 a month. 36 months is just $415, and 48 months is $330 a month. And once we're all said and done, and you're extremely happy with the work that we've done, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment plans?
I'm tracking all that. I just didn't know because we have 3 options. So you just went to option 1 directly.
This is option 1. Yep. Okay. I'm going straight to option 1. Okay. Why would I not go to option 1? Well, I might have put option 1 together, and when I brought boards,
every single one of your products is
I absolutely hated those boards. And so now I'm moving to option 2. Okay. It might be that I've made a shift, but normally the price that I'm presenting, this my first price, this is option 1.
Okay. Okay. That's, I mean, I understand. I was just thinking that you would.
Option 2.
So Arlen, I have a sort of part 2 to that.
Okay.
Because we started with a placeholder of that PG, right? And now we've showed them the product and they've selected something and we've narrowed down that product. What point do we go back in there and change the?
Oh, good. Well, we had to do it before this. Good question. We had to do it before this. All right. So we went in, we did steps 1 through 6, and that was all great. In step 7, we did our pre-close, other than, right? Other than price or payment. While I'm having this dialogue in step 7, because in step 6, we pick the product. I'm asking the customer, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And what I'm doing while they're answering that question, what I'm doing this is when I'm swapping the product for the actual product. This is when I'm taking the PG out, I'm putting the actual product in. Okay, it's quick. I'll show, we may not have time today. If we have time today, I'll show you today. If not, I'll absolutely show you tomorrow. But this is quick. So we pick the product. Swapping this should take you 30 seconds. No more. This should be really, really quick to swap the product.
Slow. Because it didn't.
You'll get quick with it. You'll get quick with it.
Okay.
That way, when I show step 8 and I show the price, it is the actual price.
And you've already, I'm sorry, Arlen. So you've already whittled it down to one option by the time you get through step 7. So you know where you're going.
No,
Okay.
I haven't. All right.
All right.
This is really important. Thank you for asking that. This is really, really important. Okay. Step 1 through step 5 is the same for all options, right? Okay. But in step 3, I created 3 options. Okay. And let's just, for the sake of argument, let's say that option 1 was for 3 rooms. Option 2 was for 2 rooms. Option 3 was for 1 room. It doesn't matter, you might have had a different strategy. Option 1 was for PG3, this was for PG2, this was for PG1. Whatever, I don't care. You had 3 different you had a strategy and you created 3 options based on some kind of strategy. Okay, good. All right. Now, in step 6, what are you picking? Well, you're picking a product. Okay, but I'm not going to pick 3 products. I'm going to pick a product. So when I pick that product, I'm picking my option 1 product. Okay, so whether it's 3 rooms, but it's always the same product, or whether it's a PG3 and now I've picked a product, now we've picked a product. The customers fall in love with this product. Great. Option 1. So Eric, we found a product. Let's see. Boom. This is the perfect thing. Got my carpet. Everybody's happy, happy, happy. So other than price or payment, no, it really just comes down to price. Okay, so the price, 7 pre-close. Make the swap, 8 close. This is the price for this option. Okay, it flows really nicely. We picked a product other than price or payment. No, it just comes down to price. Great. So the price to do your project with this product is $12,487. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to get to it, but I'll give you a little foreshadowing. The customer says, oh, Lord, have mercy. There ain't no way I'm ever spending $12,000 on a floor like this. Are you crazy? The whole house didn't cost me about 40 grand. I ain't spending 12 grand on this house. Whatever. Okay, fill in the blank. Now what do? We go back and we figure out, what is my option 2 product? Okay, well, this is the price for that option.
Hey, Arlen, real quick question. So the PG pricing, that is something that's just for us a filler that will never be presented to the client. We just need to be fast with switching the PG pricing to the actual product, correct?
Never is a strong word. Okay, never is a strong word. So what I will tell you is this. There are franchisees out there that just stick with the PGs. They figure it's close enough. I'll win on some, I'll lose on some others, but on the average, I'll be fine. There are a lot of other franchisees that are not comfortable living in the average, that know we're going to put the actual product in. You have to decide what works for you. I know when I ran my business, I didn't want to leave PGs in there. I wanted the actual product in because I wanted to make sure that I had the actual price. Some of the PG ranges, you find, yeah, this range is pretty tight, and I'm happy with any number that's in there. There's some of them that the PG range is actually it's a pretty big range, and so if you happen to sell something on the low end, then you make out like a bandit. But if you sell something on the high end, you feel kind of like you're losing money. So I recommend that you take the PG out and you put the actual product in.
Correct.
Okay.
Arlene, can you use the PG? So like my Mohawk EDI feed's not fixed yet. I have my prices from my rep, but nothing loads into the tablet. So this weekend when I was doing one of my homework, they liked a Mohawk product. So I put the PG in and then I typed over the name, but it still said PG. Is that no problem? Okay.
No problem with that. You can hit that little pencil and you can change the name and you can change the price and you can leave it like that. That's okay too.
Okay.
See, there's multiple ways of doing it.
I noticed that the PG groups, there's quite a big variance even within the PG groups. So for me, I'm assuming that's for everybody, right? The PG3 is not just going to be a simple price. They're still going to vary. So I noticed that. Can we go in there and update our PGs and then try to group our PGs? I guess that goes along with what you're saying. You'll win some, you lose some. But we could create our own PG groups based on the averages. And
you will not be able to create your own PG groups. That PG pricing is in a corporate price list that Sean manages. Now, you can create a local price list So let's say that Amy decided that she wanted a Mohawk PG group. Well, she could go in and create a local price list for Mohawk PGs. Okay, great. That's all fine. There's a ton of things that you can do. The easiest thing to do is just to use the PG when you come up with your rough draft price, and then do a quick substitution or do a quick write over when you need to put in the actual product name and price.
Gotcha.
Nate, because Nate here is, he's in an existing franchise location. What's been your experience with the PGs versus the actual products?
Arlen, we use them as a placeholder, but we always put the actual product in that we choose. One, just to make sure that, we're very big on making sure that we not only manage the price that we sell it for, but the production. So slowing down to make sure that we put the correct flooring in. And really, once you get the hang of the tablet, you can do it mid-conversation. It's really not a tough thing to change. You just have to make sure you land on that with the customer. But I would say put in the actual product every single time. That's my advice.
Good deal. Thank you. All right. So in terms of flow, flow, you're working 1 through 5. You get to option 1, you say, okay, this is what we're picking out. Maybe it is a PG3 type product. Okay, good. Now the customer picks the perfect thing. Somewhere here in step 7, I do a quick switch. In fact, we'll put that here. PG out, product in. Okay. And now when I show the customer the price, this is your price for this option. And then we'll talk about the most effective way to be able to come back and pick up option 2 and pick up option 3. What we're not doing, okay, and this, I want to make this pretty clear. What we're not doing is we're not having the customer pick 3 different items and then showing the customer, well, this is a good, better, best. Or this is your high, medium, and low. We're not showing the customer 3 prices at one time. We're showing the customer 1 price at one time. And then if the customer says, no, there's no way, I'm never doing that. Okay, great. Now we're going to go back and look at a different product and pick a different price. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, so let's go back here. So, the total retail price for your project is $12,487. You got in touch with 3 of the people on my reference list. That's $150 off. Fantastic work. Good for you. That brings your total down to just $12,337. Now, I never know how people want to pay for a project like this, so I took the liberty of putting together some payment plans. 24 months would be $586 a month. 36 months is just $415, and 48 months is $330 a month. Once your job is complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of our payment plans? Now, I want you to listen to this very carefully. Again, this doesn't have to be word for word, but I want you to listen to the structure of this question. Would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you take advantage of one of the payment plans? How is that question structured?
He uses assumptive language.
All right, explain that, Tyler.
It's not a if you were to choose to go with us. It's a whenever you have made the decision to choose us, how will you pay for it?
Okay, good. All right. So it's assumptive language. What else do you see in the structure of that question? Would you pay with a personal check, or would you take advantage of one of the payment options? What else do you hear in that language?
You're giving them two distinct options. Either you're paying with a check or you're doing finance.
And it's closing language.
You didn't say cash.
Right. I gave you 2 options. I said, when you get ready to go, are you going to pay with a personal check? Oops. Are you going to pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of the payment options? Okay. What payment options did I not list?
no payment options, not to pay.
Okay, right. Oh, good. All right. So we didn't talk about a credit card. What else did we not talk about?
Cash.
Yeah, well, yeah, cash.
Okay. What else?
A home equity line of credit.
Yeah. The process.
Okay. All right. What else?
Interest rate in your payment
Okay,
plan.
we did right, but interest rate's tied to payment, so I'm going to come back to interest rate. Okay.
Not buying it.
All right. Somebody asked me the closing question. Ask me the closing question. Once your job is complete, anybody, just ask me the closing question.
And once your project is complete, Arlen, and you are 100% satisfied, would you be paying by check, or perhaps it's just like taking advantage of one of our payment options?
Jen, this is great, but I don't really have a checking account, and I don't really like payments. Do you guys do Venmo?
Oh, it's a very good question, Arlen.
All right. So how are you going to answer that question? Do you do Venmo?
Yes, give me 30 seconds.
Sure do.
All right. Okay. I want to teach you guys an answer. I want you to be able to apply this answer in life. Yeah. Not a very good F. Come on. The board is extremely responsive until I get on Zoom, and then there's a little bit of a lag. If I could do that for you, could we get your job started? I just want you to put that in your bag of tricks, okay? Could you take Venmo? Well, if I could do that for you, could we get your job started? What does that question do? That question is going to help flush out whether or not the Venmo question is really what the objection is, or if there's something else. Right? Do you guys take credit cards? Yes, we take credit cards. Now what? I mean, it's like, you know, now it became an academic question. Do you guys take credit cards? Why, yes, we do. What else would you like to know? You know, do you eat cereal for breakfast? Well, that has just as much to do with whether or not we take credit cards. Who cares? What really matters is credit card really the thing that's going to keep you from buying, or is there something else? So, do you guys take credit cards? If I could do a credit card for you, could we get your job started? Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We take credit cards. All right, that becomes a little more obvious when it's something like Venmo, because not everybody's set up for Venmo. Not everybody's set up for Cash App or Zelle or all these other different, you know, different ways of taking payment. Do you guys take Bitcoin? Well, if I could take Bitcoin, could we get your job started? Now, I don't know if I'm going to take Bitcoin or not. I have no idea. I don't know. Seems pretty risky to me. But I'm asking the question so that I understand if that's really what the objection is. Amy, ask me the closing question. This one is for Amy.
So would you be taking advantage of one of our payment options, or would you be writing a check once we have completed your job?
Amy, I don't do banks at all. But I've got 8 goats, and I wondered if we could trade goats.
if I could do that for you, would you be able to get your job started? I'm gonna have to weigh them first, of course.
Okay, all right, so but that's the thing, right? Okay, now, maybe some of you take goats, maybe some of you don't take goats. I don't know, I don't care, right? I'm not even saying that you should take goats. What I'm saying is, if you ask this question, you're not promising them that you will do it. If I could do that for you, could we get your job started? And the guy says, well, I don't know. I'm pretty fond of my goats. I don't know that we're really good. Okay, well, now we got another thing to talk about. So let's put the goats to the side for a moment, okay? If we could do Venmo, could we get your job started? Well, yeah. I just need to know how to pay you. Okay, well, now that's different, because now I've got to figure out how to do Venmo, or I got to figure out, or if we're going to do Venmo, or if we're going to come up with something else. But now what the customer has told me is, yes, I want to move forward with this. We're not figuring out if they're going to do the job. We're figuring out how to pay for it. And that's a very different thing. Does that make sense? This is why you and I both know that for the people that are going to pay cash, so to speak, there's very few people that are going to actually write a check. Almost everybody's going to want to pay with a credit card so that they can get whatever points they're trying to do on whatever credit card so they can book their trip to Disney World and do their thing. Okay, that's great, but I don't want to throw that out there right away. Why do I not want to throw it out there right away? And it has nothing to do with the finance fees.
Because you want to make sure that they're going to do the job. And if you don't say credit card and then they're like, hey, what about credit card? It gives you the chance to ask that question.
That's right. I want that question to come up. Okay? I want that question to come up, and it has nothing to do with, yeah, I know you're going to pay 2.5%, 3.5%, whatever it is. You're going to pay 3.5% to some bank because they used a credit card. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about landing a job. I'm talking about understanding if the customer is trying to figure out if they're going to do the job versus how they're going to pay for the job. So I am baiting the customer. By not presenting credit cards at the beginning, I'm baiting the customer to ask that question. Once your job's, I know, look, I guarantee you that there's people on this call that do not use checks. I guarantee it. Tyler is shaking his head yes. Tyler, do you write checks? Jen, do you write checks?
Only when I have to.
Yeah, it's a rare thing, right? It's becoming more and more rare. Okay, good. The question is not outdated. It's on purpose. Would you be in a position to write a personal check, or would you take advantage of one of the payment options? Because I'm baiting the customer to say, will you take a credit card? Do you do Venmo? Do you do Cash App? Do you do PayPal? Do you do Zelle? All these other things. I want to be able to ask the customer, if I can do that for you, can we get your job started? That's it. I'm baiting the customer because I want to be able to ask that question. Okay? All right. We got that one out of the way. Good. I asked the customer, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of the payment options? How could the customer answer that question, other than asking about goats and Venmo and other things? How could the customer answer that question?
They could also say, I'm not ready to do either of those things today.
Ah, okay, good. I'm not ready to do those things today. What else could they say?
This is more than I thought it was going to be.
Bingo, this is more than I thought it would be. What else?
Do you have any other options for me? Because this is too much.
Good, all right. How else could somebody answer? Would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or do you want to take advantage of one of the payment options?
You could ask to.
I'm not doing any of that.
Put on and then finance the rest.
Okay, yep, I could pay part of it and finance the rest. Good, okay. All right, I'm going to show you, hopefully this will make sense. The customer could say, let's see, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of the payment options? Let's see, check. or payment. Okay? Essentially, you're ready to go, right? Okay. The customer could say, yes, I'll write you a check. Let's go. I'm ready to do this. 12 grand feels like a bargain to me. Let's go. Okay? So, I mean, they could just say, yeah, let's do this, right? Or they could say, I'm not so sure. And they could come up with some new objection in the close. Now, when we talk about objections, whatever the customer comes back with, I'm going to show you that that objection could be categorized in one of 5 different things. There's really only 5 different objections that the customer can come back with. That's it. Once your job's complete, you're 100% satisfied. Would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you take advantage of one of the payment options? Well, one of the objections could be a price objection. Nikki gave us a good example of that. Oh, the price is too high. That's just too high. Okay. Another objection could be a time objection. Well, I'm not in a position that I could swing 12 grand right now. Okay. A time objection, let's just be clear about this. A time objection is not, oh, I need until Friday to think about it. No, that's not a time objection. That's time to decide. We're not talking about time to decide. We're talking about time to do. So the customer comes back and says, oh, I don't have that kind of money right now. It would have to be later. Okay. Another objection could be a payment objection. What's the difference between a payment objection and a price objection?
Price is overall, payment is on every month basis, so the payment's too high for their monthly income or the price is too high for their budget period.
Got it. So remember I said some people are going to look at the price and some people are going to focus on the payments? This person is going to say something like, ooh, 12 grand is too much. This person is going to say, ooh, $330 a month is too much. Okay? One customer is looking at the total price and they're saying it's too much. Another customer is looking at the total payment and they're saying it's too much. The reason that we make a distinction here is how we're going to handle that objection is going to be different. If it's price, we're going to handle it one way. If it's payment objection, we're going to handle it a different way. Okay? So it has to do with how we're going to handle the objection. Another, all right, so Carrie mentioned this one. It could be an interest objection. It could be the customer says, well, what's the interest rate? By the way, does anybody know what the interest rate is on your tablet?
12.99.
12.99. And the customer says, oh my God, 12.99. I mean, I know interest rates have gone up, but y'all are crazy. Okay, so now we're not even talking about whether or not $12,000 is too much. We're just talking about an interest rate. Okay, there's one other big bucket of objections. It's what I call poo-poo, because I got to keep it clean. What can you do with poo-poo? All right, I don't know. Maybe in Kansas you can use it to heat a house. I don't know. Cow manure does a lot of things. Okay, good. What can you do with poo-poo? Probably not much. You don't really want to play with it. You don't want to spend a lot of time around it. It kind of stinks. I don't really want to deal with poo. So what do I mean by a poo-poo objection? Remember I said that we are assuming we got a positive pre-close. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And the customer says, no, it really just comes down to price. Now I've shown them a $12,000 price, and the customer says, well, you know, we've got this fence project that we need to do. and I need to get a price on the fence before I decide on the floor. This is why I'm saying this is poo-poo. If that was really on their mind, that should have come up in the pre-close. Okay? It's not that they don't have a fence project. I'm not saying that the customer is full of it because they have a fence project. I'm saying that if that was really a concern, it would have come up by now. And now they're bringing up, why are they bringing it up now?
They saw the price and now they're scared of it and they don't want to admit to it.
That's it. You've been in their house for the last, at this point, you've been in there almost an hour. You've been in their house for almost an hour, and they've actually gotten to like you, okay? You're going to find people really like you because you're spending time with them and you're letting them tell you their stories about their vacation and whatever else, that people actually are going to like you. And so it becomes difficult for somebody to say, ooh, I really like this person, but I want them to get out of my house because they're asking me for 12 grand. And so they're going to try to soft pedal this and say, no, everything's okay, everything's happy, everybody's happy, happy, happy. I just need some time to think about it. Poo-poo, poo-poo, poo-poo. It's just a bunch of poo-poo coming out of their mouth. Okay? I'll give you some other examples of poo-poo. Somebody asked me the closing question.
Other than price or payment, is there any other reason, not like to go forward with the project today?
Aaron, this has been absolutely fantastic. It's just, this is something that my wife and I need to think about. So could we just get back with you on Friday? All right, there's nothing there. It's just junk. Okay, it's just junk. All right, remember, the pre-close question, I said it just comes down to price. That's why that pre-close question is so important. It just comes down to price, okay? Whoever's the fastest, Jen, come off of mute and ask me the closing question.
Okay, sorry, other than price or payment, would there be any reason that we cannot get your job started today?
Jen, I've got this car out here that, some days it starts and some days it doesn't. And I really, I'm going to have to see what that's going to cost before I can make a decision about the floor. Okay. So Jen, what can you do about a car that doesn't start? What can you, as a Floor Coverings International Design Associate, what can you do to help me make sure my car starts?
Tell them their house will be so lovely, they'll never want to leave it. They won't need that car.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Right? You can't do anything with it. You can't do anything with that. What am I supposed to do with a car that doesn't start? I'm not saying that the car is not a real thing. It might be a real thing. What I'm saying is that literally 30 seconds ago, you asked them, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get their job started today? And they said, no, it just comes down to price. Now you've shown them the price, and now they're bringing up a car that won't start. Okay? That's why I'm calling it poo-poo. I told you we're going to make customers either liars or buyers, and I'm catching them in a lie. It's not that it's not real. It might be real, but that has nothing to do with whether or not they're going to buy this floor. They're using that as an excuse because they got to know Jen. They really like Jen. Everybody's happy, happy, happy. But now we got to get you out of the house because 12 grand is, now I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable. Okay? Somebody else asked me the closing question.
Here, and I have a question though.
Yes.
I thought that pre-close question comes before they saw the price. So the objection.
Yep, the pre-close question comes before the price. So I asked the customer, other than price or payment, here, let's just do it. Let's do it like in real time. Let's do it like in real time. Okay? So you don't get to see this yet. I'm going to push that off the screen for a second. You don't get to see that yet. So Sandra, you're going to be my customer. All right? And you picked this beautiful carpet, and you absolutely love it because it's got this lifeguard on the back, and this is absolutely wonderful stuff. Sandra, this is the product that you really, really love?
Yes.
All right, beautiful. Well, do you have any other questions for me about how this install would work or what we would do for the job?
No.
Okay. Well, I've got a question for you, Sandra. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
Not sure I want to go forward with it.
All right. So I need you to give me a positive pre-close. We assume that we're going to get a positive pre-close.
That's right. Okay,
All right.
sorry.
Okay. So other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
No.
No? Okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to help you get the product or to get the floors that you love and deserve. So Sandra?
I guess my confusion, Arlen, my confusion on the poo-poo part is I thought poo-poo would not be positive. So that's where I kind of was.
Okay, right. So the poo-poo is not positive. The poo-poo, I got a positive pre-close. The customer told me it just comes down to price, and now they're trying to throw everything at me to get me out of the house, right? But they're not telling me that the price is too high. They're just throwing everything else at me. Okay?
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Good. So, 12 grand, and the customer says, here's my poo-poo again, 12 grand, and the customer says, you know, this has been absolutely wonderful, and I'm pretty sure that we'll end up going with you. Can you email that to me and maybe give me a call back next week? What is that?
It's a brush off.
It's a brush off, which is just poo-poo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, Mark actually has a benefit here. So Mark is in the Philadelphia area, right? Mark is up in the Northeast. He's far enough in the Northeast that people are going to look at Mark and just be really, really direct. And they're going to say, dude, you are on crack. I ain't paying 12 grand for this floor, right? Because they're just very direct. Okay, that's good. That's going to help you right now. On the other hand, you know, Nate's in Tennessee. Well, Tennessee people, they're not quite that direct. You know, they're going to say, oh, Nate, man, this is so good. I am so happy with this. This is just wonderful. Man, you've been great. I got to have you over to a fishing. We're going to have a great time together. Hey, email that to me and I'll call you next week. And then you ain't never going to hear from him again. Right? It's just what it is. Okay. So we have to be able to listen for that, and we have to interpret it the right way. Okay. So what is poo-poo? Yes, there's a question.
Well, I have a question because I was with a design associate where this exact thing happened, but the lady just said, I'll let you know on Monday. And she did, and she bought from him on Monday. So she she didn't really seem to have an objection. There wasn't an issue. She just didn't want to sign a check that day. So this was a Friday, and she said, I'll let you know on Monday. And then he went back there and got it on Monday. So how did he know that this wasn't poo-poo? Or I guess
he's done it long enough. He's done it long enough to be able to interpret it. Okay. All right. But the way that I'm gonna coach you is, if they tell you, hey, this is Friday, I'll call you on Monday. All right. Well, there's some other questions that I need to ask. I need to dig a little deeper because I need to understand, are we really going to do this on Monday, or am I just getting brushed off? Okay. Now, if we are stuck in poo-poo, in other words, we're talking about fences or broken down cars, or I got to get other estimates or whatever else it is, whatever this poo-poo is, if I'm stuck in poo-poo land, what is my percentage chance of closing this job? If I can't get them to talk about anything but poo-poo, what is my percent chance of closing this job?
10%.
1 to none.
Less than 5.
Yeah, 10%. Oh, 0. Okay.
Big fat 0. If I can't get them to talk about anything other than poo-poo, and we're stuck there, I have no chance of closing this job. Okay? If, however, I can get the customer to tell me the price is too high, what do you think my chances are now of being able to close the sale? If I can get them to actually say the price is too high.
15 to 20.
Yeah, yeah, 10 to 15. Yeah.
Higher than 0.
Oh,
I get a 65% chance of closing that sale. And why do you think it's so high? What happens if 12 grand, they're not going to move off of 12 grand?
Yeah.
I got two
Because then you
other
have the
options.
opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
I got other options. If the customer is honest enough with me to say the price is too high, I can fix that. I'm not talking about playing with margin. I'm talking about going to a different option. I can fix the price is too high. I can't fix the car that won't start. I can't fix poo-poo, but I can fix the price is too high. What if instead of price, the customer says, well, that's just not something that we could do right now. This is something that I'm going to have to save up for and we'll have to do it later. What's my chance of closing that sale?
30%.
Hey, so are you going to tell us how to overcome the poo-poo response? Because I
Yep.
really am tempted to say in a nice way, hey, you're giving me poo-poo right now, so what's really troubling you?
Good. I like it. I love it. Okay. Yes, absolutely. We're going to work through how to handle each one of these. Okay. If I can identify this as a time objection, I've got a 75% chance of closing this sale. If the customer tells me, ooh, $330 a month, that's too much for my budget, I can't get there. Okay. I've got an 85% chance of closing that one. Because not only can I go to different options, but I've got other payment options. I can extend the months out. I can take a down payment. I can do all kinds of wonderful things to get that payment down. If the issue is $330 a month, I need this to be at $250 a month. Man, I can get there. I got an 85% chance of selling that one. And now carries, I love carries. Ooh, the 12.99% interest rate's too high. I got a 95% chance of landing that sale. Because if the real issue is the interest rate's too high, well, shoot, I can fix the interest rate. That's the easiest thing in the world to fix. I can absolutely fix the interest rate. That's just a decision. Okay? So it becomes really, really important when you ask the closing question, when you ask the closing question, when the job's complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options? Now I have to shut up and listen, because I am listening to what the customer says, and I need to be able to accurately determine, are they giving me poo-poo? Are they giving me a price objection? Are they giving me a time objection? Is it a payment objection? Or is this an interest rate objection? I need to be able to hear what they said so that I can handle the objection properly.
Arlen, I have a question on
Yes,
one of the objections. So for price, you mentioned if you can get the objection of price out of them, you can fix that, right? You can say, you know, we have other options. What if they're sold on that first option? Like this specific tile is the only tile they wanted. And now you come back and say, oh, well, we got other tile options. They don't want those other tile options.
Perfect. No problem. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a break and let you guys go get something to eat, okay? When we come back, we're gonna deal with each one of these objections and how to handle it, okay? So we're gonna talk about each one of these. We're gonna go through objection handling. What do I do when I get only poo-poo? What do I do with that? How do I fix that, okay? When the customer says 12 grand is too much, what do I do with that? How do I fix that, okay? We're going to talk about how do you handle each one of these, and you're going to see that for each one of these, there's a different objection handling method, okay? So we're going to learn how to handle each one of these objections, okay? And we're going to do that as soon as we get something to eat and bring the blood sugars back up and whatever else we need to do, okay? So my clock says that it's 1:37. I want to make sure that I give you guys time to answer some phone calls, to answer some emails. You guys have been really good about trying to keep the distractions down. So I want to make sure I give you some time for that, as well as getting something to eat. So when my clock says 2:30, I'll let you adjust that to whatever time zone you're in. When my clock says 2:30, we're going to start back. Same as before, turn your cameras off, turn them back on when you're ready to rock and roll again. And we're going to immediately jump into objection handling at 2:30.
Arlen, what time is it by you right now? I'm sorry, I don't know how many hours are you are ahead.
Well, right now it's 1:38. So I'm giving you about 45 minutes roughly.
Thanks.
Okay.
Arlen, what time did you say we would be done today?
You will be done absolutely no later than 4 p.m. Eastern time. So what is that, 2 o'clock where you are, right?
Thank you.
Yep. Let me jump back to the whiteboard again, and we'll get this party restarted.
Hey, Arlen, I got a question for you when you're done setting up your board.
Yep, go ahead. Ask away.
Wow, it's weird to see myself magnified on the thing there. The question that came up about the person that, oh goodness, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. It's like blank brain. They're not necessarily throwing an objection. They're not necessarily throwing poo-poo, but they really want you to just go ahead and send the quote to them and the estimate to them. It's just like on an email, and that they'll decide in a couple of days. Had that happen, and a heck of a lot while I've been on my ride-alongs, and still 50 to 60% of the time, it's just like we're still landing the sale. So so I wouldn't consider that, poo-poo or FUD or whatever. So yeah, it's trying to figure out what to do with that scenario.
Sure. And so what I want to find out is, when I'm going through the closing process, I want to find out, is that really what the deal is? No, you really want a couple of days to think through this, or are you trying to push me out the door, right? So I still want to figure out what's going on here. And quite frankly, if I were in your shoes, I want to figure out how to close it on the first time I ring the doorbell, because it's a lot more efficient. Why do I want to go back a second time if I can close it the first time? And what normally is the case is that people just, they want a little bit of time to process it, but I also want to kind of control this tempo. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on people. I'm not going to turn this into a high pressure sale. I just want to understand, have I really done everything I can in the home before I leave? That's all.
So it's kind of a know when to say when.
You have to kind of know when to say when. And if you trust the process works. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to close every sale in the home. No, there's going to be times when you are going to close on follow-up. But if you'll follow the system, then at least you have a much better feel for, okay, this is somebody that's going to buy in a couple of days versus this is somebody that's pushing me out the door. All right, so let's dive in. So what do you do when somebody gives you nothing but poo-poo? Right? No, somebody's giving you nothing but poo-poo. What do? Well, I got to get them to talk about something other than poo-poo. What's the easiest thing to get them to talk about other than poo-poo? Is going to be price. Because let's face it, if 30 seconds ago, I know it feels like a lifetime ago on Zoom, but 30 seconds ago, I asked them a question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? And they said, no, it just comes down to price. Well, if it just comes down to price, and now you're throwing this other stuff at me, I'm going to interpret that as poo-poo. And what I'm going to do is I'm not trying to land it with one question. I'm not swinging for the fences. All I want to do is get them to start talking about price. That's it. So all I'm going to do is I just want to move this one step. And it's a question that I call the bridge the gap question. And the reason I call it the bridge the gap question is very simple. I just want to bridge this gap between poo-poo and price. I just want to get the customer to move away from talking about poo-poo and start talking about price. So how am I going to do that? It's a simple question. It's a very, very simple question. You guys would probably have figured it out by yourself. Is this more than you thought it would be? That's it. That's all I'm going to ask. Right? So let's go back to the pre-close. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? No, it just comes down to price. Well, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get the floors that you love and deserve. The total retail price for your project is blah, blah, blah. Once your job is complete and you're 100% satisfied, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check, or would you want to take advantage of one of the payment options? And the customer says, yeah, this is something we're going to have to think about. This has been fine, but we just need a couple of days to think about it. Can we get in touch with you on Thursday? Okay. Sure, absolutely. I'll be happy to email it to you. But while I'm here, let me just ask you, is this more than you thought it would be? All right, does that feel like a high pressure question? Does that feel like you're going to push people? No, it's not a high pressure question. It's not going to push people. It's just a simple question. Is this more than you thought it would be? Straightforward, right? Now, how is the customer going to answer that question?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Or no. I mean, this one's easy, right? This is a yes or no question. Is this more than you thought it would be? Now, by the way, you don't have to ask this word for word. You can ask this a different way. You could ask something like, how does this price feel to you? Does this price feel like it's more than you thought it would be? I don't care. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get them to say, this price is too high, or I'm trying to get them to say, no, it's fine. Okay, well, let's just roll this out. Is this more than you thought it would be? No, it's really right in line with what I thought it would be. I just want a couple of days to think about it. Okay, I'm going to ask one more question. What would it take today? Okay, now, this maybe seems like it's pushing a little bit. I'm not trying to push. As a matter of fact, you can even tell the customer that. So, is this more than you thought it would be? Well, no, it's kind of in line with what I thought it would be. All right, well, look, while I'm here, and just to make sure that I've done everything that I need to do to help you, what would it take to earn your business today? Okay, and then just listen. And they're going to tell you, no, everything's fine. You've done a great job. The product is perfect. Everything is great. We just want a couple of days to think about it. Okay, well then that tells me, to Jen's point, that tells me that now I'm in follow-up mode. Okay, okay, fine. But what if the customer tells me, is this more than you thought it would be? Yes, this is more than I thought it would be. Now what?
Then you go back.
I have now converted this into a price objection. Nikki, was that you?
I was going to say that you probably go back and talk about the value we bring and then how that all kind of equates to the price, that you're getting value. You're not just getting.
All right. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, this is my tactic, the technique. If I get nothing but poo-poo, then I want to bridge the gap. And by that, I mean, I want to convert the customer from talking about poo-poo and get them to talk about price. So I'm going to ask them a simple question. Is this more than you thought it would be? If they say no, okay, which is going to be rare, by the way, it's going to be extremely rare that somebody says, oh no, the price is great. Well, see, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because 30 seconds ago they said it just came down to price, and now they're telling me that the price is fine, so I'm confused. This is why I'm asking the question, because there's an inconsistency here, right? And that inconsistency doesn't compute. Okay, most of the time somebody's going to say, yes, this is more than I thought it would be. Perfect, because now we're talking about price. All right, so I'd like for somebody to role play this with me. We'll skip over the number part of it. Well, no, that's all right. We've got the numbers right here. We'll play with numbers too. Open this up. So I want somebody to start with a pre-close question, other than price or payment. Let's just roll this through. I'll help you, don't worry.
I'll go.
All right.
Okay, Arlen, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
Blake, no, it really just comes down to price.
No, I forget. Sorry.
Okay, give me some kind of commitment statement. Promise me that
Oh, sure.
you're gonna help me.
I say, okay, great. My commitment to you is that I will not let price or payment do everything in my power so that price or payment does not get in the way of you getting the floors that you love and deserve.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay, Arlen, when this job is completed and you are 100% satisfied, would you pay with a personal check or take advantage of these payment options?
You know, Blake, this is it's a lot to take in at one time. So if you don't mind, could you email this to me and maybe get back in touch with me later in the week?
So we didn't go through the price.
All right, you want to go through the price?
Yeah, when should I should have done that before
Yeah, so
the job is completed?
Yep, so do the pre-close. So you have the pre-close question,
Yep,
then you have the commitment statement,
yep, then you go through price.
then flip the price,
Okay,
ask for the sale, and then respond to whatever comes about. So you want to start from scratch?
sure. Arlen, other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today?
Blake, it really just comes down to price.
Okay, great then, Arlen. My commitment to you is I will do everything in my power so that price or payment does not get in the way of you getting the floors you love and deserve.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So speaking of price, we picked out this great carpet for you that you love. It's option one. The retail price of that carpet, Arlen, is $12,487.71. Now, you were able to get in touch with 3 references, which gives you a discount of $150. So now we're just down to $12,337.71. Now, I'm not sure if you are a kind of person that just pays everything at once or takes advantage of payment options. So I've taken the opportunity to show you some payment options. If we broke this down into 24 payments, it would be $586 a month. At 36, it's $415, but at 48, it's $330.93. Now, Arlen, when your job is completed and you are 100% satisfied, would you pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of these payment options?
God, you know, Blake, this has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you bringing everything out to the house like this. It's something that we're going to have to sort of chew on for a couple of days. Is there any way that you could email this to us and maybe call us back towards the end of the week?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Now, Arlen, since I'm here, just have another question for you. Is this more than you thought it would be?
Yeah, to be honest, it really is. All right, so time out. Let's just stop right there, okay? We're going to get into what to do with the price objection, but you see what's happened. He's converted my, let's talk about it in a couple of days. And I told him, he asked me the simple question, is it more than you thought it would be? And I said, yes. So now he is dealing directly with a price objection. See, you could assume that it's price, but assumptions are problematic because now you're putting words in the customer's mouth. Now he doesn't have to assume anything. I have told him that the price is higher than I expected, right? So when he tells me, oh, you said the price was too high, that's fine because I said it, right? I don't ever want to put words in my customer's mouth. If I'm going to say something to the customer, it's because they've told it to me. If I'm going to use, you know, oh, you said the price was high, well, then they need to actually say the price was high. This is why it's important to be able to listen for what that objection is. I never told him the price was high until he asked that question. Okay? All right. So now what do? The price is too high. Now what? Well, I want to try to get this customer to talk about something other than price now. I want to be able to move from a 65% closing rate to a 95% closing rate. I want to be able to move this objection to a higher statistical probability. We have a technique called the walk of life. Three simple questions. All right, so you've got the bridge the gap exercise, and that bridge the gap exercise moves you from poo-poo to price, okay? Poo-poo to price. Now that we're talking about price, now we're going to talk about the walk of life, okay? The walk of life doesn't make any sense until we have a price objection. Once we have a price objection, now we can use the walk of life. So the walk of life is three simple questions. Question number one. How much did you think a project like this would cost? Or how much did you think a project like this would be? Okay. This question is designed to understand what the customer's expectation is.
Could we ask that in like a way of what were you looking to spend on this project, or would that not be the right way to ask?
No, I'm not interested in what they were looking to spend. This isn't a budget question per se. This is an expectation question, right? So how much did you think a project like this would cost? By the way,
Arlen,
you will have some people, yeah, Nate?
I wanted to share a quick example. We actually measured a large houseboat the other day, and we're kind of walking through everything, and Josh actually asked that question. He said, how much, did you think, redoing the flooring in your houseboat would cost? And the guy said, well, he said, I didn't tell you guys, I've been in the construction industry for a long time. He said, I was thinking it was probably around 12 grand. We had quoted around 14 grand. And he said, but I didn't think about the intricacies that you talked about, cutting the tile from underneath the cabinet, the other things that go with it. So 14,000 is not unreasonable. So that question really unlocked a lot of potential for us to build on, so I just wanted to share that example.
Nice. That's a really good example, because if you had asked the question like the way Aaron was saying it, well, what were you wanting to spend for this? Or what were you, then, well, I wanted to spend 12 grand. So now all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, what do I do to cut $2,000 out of this? And instead it's, how much did you think a project like this would be? It's uncovering what the customer's expectation was. Okay. Second question. Hey, now that you've seen what we do, and how we do it, hey, now that you've seen what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Okay. So what is this question designed to do? This question is designed to remind the customer of our value proposition. Okay. All right. Let's talk about how you can play with this question, because this is a great question to play with, but I want to give you some boundaries, because there's some words that if you use the wrong way, it can lead you down a path you don't want to go. Okay. First, what are some great things to do with this? Now that you see what we do and how we do it, how could we play with that? Well, let's say you've got a customer that told you that they've had issues with contractors before. Okay. Well, now that you see what we do and you see how we vet our installers, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Maybe you have a customer that was just really, really concerned about hardwood floor scratching, and you picked a hardwood floor that had scuff resist platinum, and it's got a dense core and all this stuff. And I mean, this is really going to hold up really, really well, but it's a more expensive board. Well, now that you see what we do and you see the quality of the hardwood that we use, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Okay. Maybe you've got a customer that, they're just really, really concerned with having people in the home. They're concerned about how this is going to work. They spend a ton of time working out of town. Hey, now that you see what we do and how we project manage everything for you so you don't have to worry about it, can you see why this might be more than you thought it would be? All right, you see what I'm doing? I'm changing the first half of this question to tailor it to what this particular customer situation is. Okay, so you guys give me some examples. How would you customize the first half of this question?
Arlen, I'll share another quick example. We went and quoted a house the other night, and the lady that talked constantly about that she actually had hired somebody to do the job and then they never came back, just disappeared. So you know, you could structure it in a way of, you know, now that you've seen, you know, how we do things and how we operate, and understand that we're going to be here, you know, when we promise, we're going to be here at the time we promise, and not to mention too, we're going to take great care of you. You know, can you see why this would be more than you thought it would be?
Good. All right. So depending on the customer's situation, I'm going to customize the first half of that question. Okay. Somebody else, dream up a scenario. Maybe you've had a bad contractor situation. Put yourself in the customer's position. How would you customize the first half of this question? This is either such a basic question that people are like, why are you asking me this? Or I have blown everybody's minds.
Well,
I don't know how, so, go ahead, Carrie, sorry.
I was just going to say, you could say that now that you've seen what we do, we've given you, you know, our best price, and you see that everything is transparent and included in here. So it's a complete proposal. What you see is it.
Sure. Yeah, you could absolutely do that. You know, now that you see that we're very transparent with pricing and we've got an absolutely complete proposal, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? 100%. Okay. Amy, you were going to come up with one.
I was actually going to go right down the same vein as Carrie did, that now that you see it's a complete proposal, there's no hidden anything. Do you understand why this might be more than you would have thought it would be?
Good. Okay. A lot of times when you go through the installation part of the system with the customer and you show them, hey, we're going to take this out, we're going to do this, we're going to come back with trim. You know, a lot of times people don't think about that, right? What do people think about? People think about the last Home Depot commercial they saw. Oh, this is 99 cents a square foot. Well, my house is 2,000 square feet, so I figure at most $2,000 for the material and maybe double that for labor. So I figure this is going to be a $4,000 job. You just quoted me 12 grand. Okay, well, now that you see that we're tearing everything out, that we're putting in a top quality product, and that we're going to finish everything with trim, and you've got the full, all costs are in here, can you see why this might be more than you thought it would be? Okay, so the point is, I don't want you to just memorize this word for word. I want you to take the first half of this question and tailor it to the customer specific case, right? This has to be personalized. Has to be personalized. You could even take it, again, depending on what the customer said, right? Maybe the customer fell in love with you because you're locally owned and operated. Hey, now that you see that we are a locally owned and operated business and that we absolutely treat our customers with the highest level of customer satisfaction, we've got a 4.8 out of 5-star rating. Can you see why this might be more than you thought it would be? Okay, whatever. There's got to be something up until this point that really resonated with the customer. So this gives you the opportunity to just repeat that one thing. I'm not going to redo the whole company story for them. I just want to hit on one or two things. Okay. Now, can I show you where there's a couple of troublesome spots in this question? Well, there's no troublesome spots the way it's written, but there's a couple of troublesome spots that people get themselves into. And that's in the second half of the question. I'll hear people say, can you see why this is a little more? We'll add in that word little. Can you see why this is a little more than you thought it would be? Why is that word troublesome?
It's diminishing the value of the proposition.
Okay.
Might not be a little to them.
It's probably not a little to them. I mean, the reality is, you know, in Josh's example, the guy thought it was going to be 12 grand. We quoted 14 grand. I don't know where you live in life, but $2,000 is a lot of money to me. So when you tell me, can you see why this is a little more? Well, it ain't a little. Okay, the reality is 80% of the time you get away with saying it. But that 20% of the time that somebody reacts to that little, let's just take it out of the vocabulary. I'm not trying to introduce it to take it out, but I want to let you know that that's a pothole that people fall into sometimes. So we're not going to use that word little. The other thing that I'll hear people ask, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is the price? Okay, all right. Well, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is the price? No, that's not the question. And quite frankly, if I understood why this was the price, I would have already signed the tablet. So I'm reacting to the price, okay? And so what is this doing? This is, in one case, this is diminishing value proposition. In this case, you're asking the customer to defend the price. Well, the customer can't defend the price. The customer doesn't own the price. So, what I would encourage you to do is get really, really tight around the language in the second half of this, but allow yourself the freedom to embellish the top half of it, right? So the way I used to teach my design associates is to memorize the second half of the question and say it word for word so that you stay out of trouble. It's not, again, sometimes you could ask a question and the customer will just move right past it, but I'm trying to keep you from falling into a trap that I know exists, okay? But embellish the first half of it. Hey, now that you see what we do and how we've got all these wild and interesting colors of carpet, can you see why this might be more than you thought it would be? Okay, that's it. All right, questions around question number 2.
I have a question on this, on the second half. In my mind, like first, like reword that I thought, and I want to see if this is bad, was, can you see why this might not be the least expensive option?
Sure. Okay. I can live with that. Yep. Because you're not asking the customer to defend it. You're not diminishing it, right? As a matter of fact, Aaron, let's say that you've got a customer in the first question. Well, how much did you think a project like this would cost? Customer might say, you know, I don't have any idea. You're the first person I've talked to. I've scheduled 3 estimates. You're the first person I've talked to. I had absolutely no idea how much this would be. Okay, well, now that second question feels a little weird. So I might reword the second question to say, well, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this project won't be cheap? Okay, well, that's great. Reword the second half. Again, it's not that I want you to be strict around the words, but there's some things that I'm trying to prevent you from falling into. That's all.
Yep.
So Arlen, when we did the ride-alongs last week, one of the appointments, the guy came back and as soon as he flipped the price, he said, "You're 25% higher than everybody else." So he didn't even give a price or anything else. He just went with a percentage. And how would you combat that to the back end of that?
Good. All right. So you're 25% higher than everybody else. Okay. So is that poo-poo? Is that price? Is that payment? Is it time? What kind of objection is that?
It's price, isn't it?
Yeah, it's price. Absolutely. So if I have a price objection, okay, oh, you're 25% higher than everybody else. Oh, really? Well, let me ask you, how much did you think a project like this would cost? Oh, okay, let's say, we're 10,000 and everybody else was 7,500. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that he thought it would be 7,500. Okay, I'm not making assumptions. Okay, well, how much did you think a project like this would cost? Well, I really was thinking it'd be around 8 grand. Well, now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? And here's the thing, if you've done a really, by the way, okay, little side shoot here. When did the customer learn what we do and how we do it?
During the video.
What do y'all think? When did the customer learn what we do and how we do it?
During the customer story.
Yeah, in the company.
Company story, sorry.
If you don't do the company story, you don't earn the right to ask this question. That's where you're building your value, okay? So, Amy, in your situation, the guy just jumps out there, you're 25% more than everybody else. Okay, well, let me ask you, how much did you think a project like this would cost? Oh, I thought it would be about 8 grand. Okay, well, now that you see what we do, how we vet our installers, the quality of materials that we use, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Okay, and you're going to find, for the most part, people are going to say, yeah, I get it. I can see why you guys are more. Okay. I'm not asking them to agree with it. I'm not asking them to close the sale. I'm looking for them to say, yeah, I get it. You're more expensive than everybody else. Okay, good. All right, which brings me to the third question. Now that you've seen the price, how long now that you've seen the price, how long would it take for you to come up with the rest of the money? All right, now be honest, show of hands, who feels like this is the absolute worst question you could ever ask somebody? I'm asking them for a copy of their 401k statement. I'm getting into the kids' college plan. I'm asking them for DNA samples, right? It feels like it's obtrusive, doesn't it? Okay? All right, good. Let's be honest. When we're here together in this setting and we're analyzing this under a microscope, I 100% agree with you. It feels that way, 100%. When you're in a customer's home and this simply is flowing, it doesn't feel that way. And the only way you're going to know that is to actually do it. You're just going to have to do it, which is, by the way, why this afternoon, I really hope that you have an opportunity to practice this so that it just starts to come off the tongue. Why is this important? So why is this question so important? What's important about this is the how long part. So if you find a way to reword it, I don't care, reword it. But what I really am interested in is the how long part, because this is all about finding out the customer's time frame. Okay? So let's just walk this through. Yes.
Why are we talking about the rest of the money? Like, that's the wording in there that gets me, because it's almost as if we're sounding like we've had a customer tell us, I can give you a couple thousand, but I don't know how I'm gonna, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with the rest. That's
okay. That's all right. You can change it. Okay, I'll tell you why I use the rest of the money, but you're free to change that to some other wording. That's okay. The most important piece is not the rest of. The most important piece is the how long. Now, here's why I use the rest of. I have no idea how much money the customer plans on setting aside. I have no idea what they've got in the bank. I don't care. I'm not interested in that. What I'm really interested in is how much time is it going to take for them to come up with whatever the rest is. So we've got a $10,000 job and the customer had set aside 8 grand. In their mind, they know they've got 8 grand. I don't know what that number is. All I'm interested in is figuring out how long is it going to take for them to come up with the balance. And I don't, at the moment, I'm not terribly, in this very moment, I'm not terribly concerned about how much money that is. All I'm really looking for is the time frame, right? And what is the time frame? Okay, so what am I doing here? Let's just walk this through. Somebody asked me the closing question, and let's walk this through, and you'll see, I'll help you through it, no problem, but you'll see how this just flows. And all I'm going to ask you to do, just look, nobody's going to get upset at you on this call. Just ask the questions verbatim. Don't worry about trying to modify them. Just ask the questions verbatim, and let's run through it. So somebody asked me the closing question. Once your job's complete,
If your job is complete, Arlen, and you're 100% satisfied, are you going to pay with a check, or are you going to take advantage of the different payment options?
Nate, I got choked up there for a second because 12 grand is a lot to swallow, dude. That's a ton of money. I don't know. I'm probably going to have to get some other estimates or something, because 12 grand is just a lot of money.
Why? And that's fair. Arlen, let me ask you real quick. How much did you think a project like this would cost?
Well, I mean, I had done a couple of other estimates. They weren't as complete as yours, but I was sort of in the $9,000 range.
Okay. Well, now that you've seen, what we do here at Floor Coverings International and how we do it, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, by far, you're 10 times more professional than anybody else that's come by.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Now that you've seen the price, how long would it take you to come up with the rest of the money?
Gosh, Nate. I mean, I don't know. It's probably something I could do right after the first of the year.
Okay.
So
Fantastic.
All right. So just time out right there for a second. It's just natural. It's just natural. I want you to think about this like you're the doctor, and this is your patient, and you're asking a diagnostic questions. There are lots of questions that if I were to ask you right now in this call, they would be considered highly inappropriate. But if your doctor asked them, it would just be normal. It just is what it is, right? Because you're in a different setting, and that's what makes sense. I guarantee you, if you walk into a mattress store and you start looking at mattresses, they're going to ask you whether or not you can finance stuff. I mean, and this is a mattress, never mind a $20,000 flooring job. So at the end of the day, what's really key about this, if you need to reword the question to make it more comfortable for you to ask, that's fine, reword it. But what you're trying to understand is the time frame, how long, okay? And I'll show you why that's so important.
Arlen, wouldn't it be the perfect timing now to say, instead of putting the pressure back on the customer to say, how long will it take you to come up with money, to simply go back in, hey, no problem, how much do you have available now? And then we finance the rest.
And see, when you ask me how much money do you have now, that feels a lot more intrusive than saying how long.
Okay, so are you still going to implement the financing aspect now? Is that what you're about to do?
Yep, 100%. That's exactly what I'm about. Okay, so if I figure out the how long, now I understand what my options are. Okay, so with the how long question answer, let's say that they give me an answer that's, I don't know. Let's say they give me an answer that's 12 months or less. So 12 months. Okay. And let's go even one step further. They give me a specific time. Okay, so what might that sound like? Oh, gosh, it's not something I could do right now, but it'd be something that I could do you know, I normally get a bonus around February. Okay, a bonus in February. That is a very specific time, and it's less than 12 months from now, right? Or, well, I get quarterly dividends, and the next dividend will pay out in September. Well, that's a very specific time, and it's less than 12 months. Okay, so I'm listening for the answer to the how long. I'm listening for a very specific time. If I have a specific time, I've got no interest, no payment plans at 6 months, 12 months, depending on depending on what finance company you're with. You could offer the customer, you know, let's say that I told you that, well, it's not something I could do right now, but I could probably do it, I don't know, October. Okay, well, October is a very specific time. Let's see, it's July right now. 6 months from July is January. So I could offer the customer a 6-month, no interest, no payment. There's no interest on it. They don't even have to make any payments. If they want to put a down payment now, that's great, but they don't even have to do that. 6 months, no interest, no payment. We could go ahead and get your floors installed now, and I'll give you until January. You don't even have to pay a dime until January. That'll work for you, won't it? Okay. So the how long question, if they give me a specific time, and let's say it's less than 12 months, bam, I know I can give them some sort of no interest, no payment plan. And frankly, those plans are fairly inexpensive for the dealers. Okay, again, you have to know your payment plans. You have to know what you can offer. How else could somebody answer this how long time? Well, somebody could give you a not so specific time. So they might tell you, you know what, I don't really know. This could take me 3 or 4 years. They might even tell you, hey, you know what, I'm in sales, I work on commission. Man, if I have a great couple of months, I could knock this out in about 6 months. Or it could take me a couple of years. I really don't know. Okay, so now I have this non-specific time. So if I have a non-specific time, I'm going to focus on payments. And I'm going to go back to the payment calculator, and I'm going to find a payment plan that works for them. Okay, I'm going to come back to that in just a second. How much did you think a project like this would cost? Oh, I don't know. I thought it'd be more like $8 grand. But now that you see what we do and how we do it, can you see why this is more than you thought it would be? Well, yeah, I can see it, but man, 8 grand is, 12 grand is a lot of money. Well, now that you've seen the price, how long do you think it would take for you to come up with the rest of the money? You know, it's not even about the rest of the money. I'm just not comfortable spending 12 grand on this house. Okay, so what happens if the customer says no? Then what am I going to do?
Finding the cheaper product.
Yeah, bingo. Now I go to option, whatever. Go to the next option. 2, option 3, option 4, whatever it is. Okay. So Eric, you asked earlier about the flow. I pick a product, I show the cost of the product. The customer says, oh, whatever they say, I walk through the walk of life, I get to the end of the walk of life, and they say, yeah, you know what, I'm just not spending 12 grand on this house. Okay, hey, no problem. I tell you what, I've got another option that you might be interested in, and it gets us a lot closer to where you were expecting it to be. Let's take a look at this option. Now we go back and pick a different product, and we go right back through it again. It's actually a fairly simple process, and it's not nearly as confusing as telling a customer, hey, here's a good, better, best. I mean, good, better, best means that the customer's got to pick out 3 products and hope that one of them fits. We're not doing that. We're going to show them one, and if they like that and that's the one, then we're done. If they say no, that's not it. Okay, well now let's take another minute and find one that does work for you. I mean, look, that's the benefit of having a mobile showroom there. You've got the ability to solve the customer's problems. Yeah, Nikki.
I want to know how you transition to the second option. When they said, no, it's just too much, then can you give us an example of a transition?
Sure. Nikki, you remember earlier, we talked about, you were thinking about doing 3 rooms, but maybe these 2 rooms were really the priority. Well, let's take a look at what the price would be for just 2 rooms. Okay, or let's say it is a product change, okay? I know you really, really like this 5-inch wide solid hardwood, but I've got another hardwood that looks very, very similar to this. If we can do it in the wide width that you like, it's going to be an engineered hardwood instead of a solid. Let's take a look at what the price would be for that. So let's make sure that this color works for you. So now I'm going to simply go and pick that different product, okay? I know you said that you had your heart set on this laminate floor, but you were also open to carpet. Okay, well, let's take a look at what the carpet's going to cost. Okay, it's simple. I mean, it's not right now, because you guys haven't done it. It feels really weird, but it's actually moving to a different product is actually pretty simple to do. You're just helping the customer solve the problem. If you come in with the idea that I'm here to help you solve a problem, then it actually makes this very easy. If you come in with the idea that I'm here to sell something, then it becomes difficult.
So
I guess-
oh, sorry, go ahead,
Oh,
Nikki.
well, before I finish, I was just kind of wondering, because I've already done those, say it was a pricing and I did 3 options of 3 products that were in those different pricing. I mean, I just didn't know how I would say, well, I already did this for you in the car, but
All right, well, set it up in advance. Look, you can set it up in advance. So let's go all the way back to step 2. Okay? Let's go all the way back to step 2, and you're asking the customer, what do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like? How do you want it to last? So, you know what, Nikki? I'm going to put together some different options for you. Because you said you wanted this to look like a nice hardwood floor, I'm going to put together some different options for you. I'm going to put together an option for you that has just a hardwood floor, just like you asked for. But I'm also going to put together an option with maybe with a luxury vinyl plank and a laminate, so that we can see those as options if we need to.
Okay.
Okay, so now I've gone out, I've put together 3 options. I'm still going to work through option 1 to start with. The customer says, oh, this is the one, I love it, it's perfect. Okay, well, let's take a look at the price for this option. Boom, 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 the price is 12 grand. Oh my God, this is horrible. 12 grand, it's way too much. Remember earlier I said I was going to put together a couple of other options? Let's take a look at what the laminate option would look like for this. Okay, so if it helps you, set it up all the way back in step 2 that I'm going to put together some multiple options for you, and we can look at them.
Okay.
Jen, you had a question.
It was pretty much that. How do you determine which one you're presenting first? So it's going to be their like most ideal best.
Yeah, it's going to be what, this is the, honestly, I've heard people say this different ways, and I struggle with this wording, okay? I've heard people say, oh, I'm going to put together the dream. Well, but is it really the dream? I mean, whose dream? So I don't really like that phrasing, but I've heard people say it and they swear by it. So if you like that, I'm going to put together the dream, and then I'm going to put together the version that I would do in my house, and then I'm going to put together you can word it however you want to. I personally like telling people up front, just keeping it really generic and saying, you know what, while I'm here, I've got a whole van full of samples out there. I'm happy to put together multiple options so that we can see which one you like the best. And I personally like to leave it generic.
Did you used to do that when you were selling?
Yeah, that's
Have some
exactly the way that
alternatives prepared from the get-go?
100%.
Okay.
Yep. Tell people from the very beginning, hey, you know what? One of the beautiful things about working with us is now that I'm here, I've got over 3,000 samples in the van, and I'll be happy to pull out whatever samples you want to see, and we'll look at different options until we find the one that you love. Okay, well, for some people, the one that they love is because they love the color. For other people, the one they love is because they love the price. Okay. I'm not making any prejudgments on that. All right, so what happens if the customer says specific time? Well, especially if it's 12 months or less, I'm simply going to jump onto a no interest, no payment plan. What if the customer tells me, oh, I don't know, it could be 2 or 3 years? Well, let's look at what you can do with payments. You have a payment here that's $330 a month. Without touching the margin, without dropping to another product or different options, how can I get that $330 payment down?
Awesome.
Increase the
What's
term.
that?
Longer, yeah, longer
Say increase the
period
terms, yeah.
payback.
Down payment.
Okay. Yep. So the first place I want to go, is a down payment. And the reason that I want to go to the down payment first is because nothing will change the payments faster than a down payment. You can extend the terms, you can play with interest, you can do all sorts of different things, but putting a deposit down will do more than anything to bring the payments down. Okay, so let's get back to our walk of life question for just a second. Now that you've seen the price, how long would it take for you to come up with the rest of the money? Oh gosh, I don't know. It could be 3 or 4 years. Okay. So let me just ask you this. Did you have some money set aside for a project like this? Yeah, I had about $2,000. Okay. With your permission, what if we were to put $2,000 here as a down payment? Let's see what that does to your payments. And the tablet's dynamic. This isn't. The tablet's dynamic, and it'll automatically adjust that payment for you. It'll adjust all of them. It'll adjust the payments for you. So let's say that now it drops to like $275. I don't know what it would drop to. $275. Why not? Okay. All right. Well, $275 is good, but is there any way we could get it down to $250? Well, how can you get it down to $250?
Maybe
You've already
lengthen
said
out the term.
Yeah, I can change the terms. Maybe I make it 60 months. Maybe I make it 72 months. Maybe I make it 84 months. I don't know. Check your finance sheets and know what options are available to you.
At what point does the customer cut in and go, why don't you take some more off the top?
Oh, I'm sure you'll have customers that do that. The question is, are you going to do it?
And this is all assuming that they're approved for credit, or do we get them to agree on the terms and the payment, and then we go through the processing credit?
You cannot, you absolutely cannot go to a finance company and say, oh, I have a rumor of a job. Will you calculate payments for me? You have to have an agreed deal, and then you can go to the finance company. And by the way, in the tablet, it actually shows you, and on the proposal sheet, it shows you that this is pending approval from a third-party company. Okay, so you're not the one that's promising them, oh yes, I can get you a 9.99% interest rate or something. That's absolutely going to be dependent on whether or not the credit company, whether or not the finance company approves them. Okay, but I'm going to go all the way back to the very first thing that we said. Would you take Venmo? Well, if I could do that for you, could we get your job started? I want you to think about this the same way. If I could get your payments down to $250 a month, could we get your job started? Okay, yes, great. Well, then in that case, let's sign the tablet and give me the permission to go to the finance company on your behalf, and let's see what we can do. Now, Jeff, you're asking, what if somebody comes along and says, well, can you sharpen your pencil over here on the 12 grand? Okay. How would you respond to that?
What I'm asking you.
Perfect. All right. So this is the way I would respond to it, but you may have a different response. The way that I would respond to it is, I personally don't ever want to reduce the price without tying it to something. Because then it just looks like I'm playing games, right? Well, if I tell you, okay, Jeff, for you, because it's Monday, because I'm in a good mood, I can take $500 off. Well, now you're thinking, well, what if it's Tuesday? Can you take $600 off on Tuesday? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. There's no logic. Okay. So where I normally like to go is this. Jeff, if we were to move forward, is this a project that you would pay for with a check or with a credit card? Would you be interested in payments? And the reason I ask that question is, most of the time people pay with credit cards. And to be honest with you, it costs me 3.5% to swipe a credit card. So if you'd be willing to pay with a personal check, I'd much rather take that 3.5% off and give it to you. And okay, so now I've tied it to something. So now I'm going to simply take my calculator out, take my phone out. I'm going to calculate whatever 3.5% is and take it off of that number and see if that gets us where we need to be. That communicates to the customer a couple of things. One, it's telling the customer that, no, I've actually calculated the right price, right? I've calculated the right price. It's not like I've got a bunch of fat in here. No, I'm going to tie something directly to it. And then it's logical. And if the customer says, well, no, I'm not going to pay with I will absolutely pay with a credit card. Okay, well, then this is what the number is. I mean, it's logical. It ties something to it. You can tie other things to it. It doesn't have to be this. You could tell the customer, hey, look,
All right.
By coincidence, it just so happens that yesterday we signed a deal with Mrs. Smith, 2 towns over, and Mrs. Smith actually bought the exact same product. So I haven't ordered her product yet. If we could go ahead and get this done, what I'd be willing to do is I'd take the freight completely off of yours because I don't need to pay the freight twice. And I know I've got $250 worth of freight that I'd rather just give that to you. Okay, again, it ties it to something concrete. Now, is there really a Mrs. Smith 2 towns over? I don't know. I leave that up to you. But at least I'm tying it, in the customer's eyes, I'm tying it to something concrete rather than just, oh, it happens to be, I don't know. I like the color of your siding, so I'm gonna give you $500 off. That doesn't make any sense.
Hey, Arlen, do you know if everyone's offering are quoting the price with the 3% credit card fee in? Because we end up saying this is your cash price. If you run a credit card, then I have to add 3%.
So that's state dependent. There are some states where it is allowed for you to add a service fee for credit cards. There are some states where that's not allowed. So that is state dependent. What is absolutely okay in every state is I can show you a price and then I can offer a cash discount. In some states, I can show a price and then I can add a service fee, but that's not the case in every state. So it's something that you have to, make sure that your state is okay with you adding that credit card service fee. Now, from a sales perspective, I actually prefer to have the credit card price. Why? Because then I've got in my pocket, I can offer somebody a cash discount. And that always, boom, that's great. I'd much rather be able to give somebody a discount rather than telling them, hey, we're going to add something to this. But that's just me. That's not a right or wrong, that's just me.
Would you ever go back to the quote and say, yeah, we can work with the price, if we didn't move the furniture or,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah, 100%. You look like a handy guy. How about this? If you remove the old carpet, that's pretty simple to do. You remove the old carpet, that means you'll be moving your own furniture. You remove the old carpet, yeah, I can knock $600 off. 100%. But again, Aaron, that's tying it to something concrete, right? That's very specific. Good. Yeah, Jeff.
What's the mechanical process while you're sitting at the table to get that 3.5% out?
Oh, that's easy. So I take my phone out and I calculate whatever this number is.
Right.
I don't know. Anybody do the math? What is 3.5%?
431.
431. Okay, so right here, $431, and it'll automatically pull it right there. So that's why you've got this second box. This first box is your reference list discount box, and then you've got another box right underneath it, which is a free text box, and then that's a numbered box. And if you put a number in here, it'll automatically subtract it out.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So that's where you, sorry. So that's where you put it to get it to show on the actual tablet and whatnot.
Yep, that's exactly where you would put it, so that it's on the tablet. And you know, that's the other thing. This is the other reason why I prefer, like, I personally prefer to have whatever credit card fees built into it, so that I can show the customer, hey, look, we're going to give you a cash discount if you, and then it's like makes them feel good. I'm giving you something back. But that's a personal preference. That's not a right or wrong. That's just a personal preference. I like to show the customer that I'm giving them something. Here's another little tidbit. Maybe you're going to give this customer, because they're a friend or family, maybe they're a next door neighbor, and you're going to give them a 10% discount, right? It's a brand new business discount, or whatever you want to call it. You are going to give somebody a discount. Even in a situation like that, my personal preference is I would much rather have this number show the full retail price, and then down here actually put in, we can call it a friends and family discount, and take 10% off, and then that way they actually see the number coming down, rather than telling them, oh, I've already taken it off. Well, people don't believe you. Even friends don't believe you. Show them that you've taken it off. Go ahead, Amy.
I have another question. I'm sorry, I'm backing up a question. I know I just asked the last one. So I Googled it. I'm not legal to charge a credit card fee to my customer. So I just leave that part out altogether and say, sucks to be me, I'm sucking it up.
No.
Or do I tell them, hey, I can't actually charge you that fee, but I can take it off after the fact?
Okay, so Amy, is it legal for you to charge a 50% gross margin?
They don't have a law against that.
Okay.
They don't say whether or not.
Perfect. Is it legal for you to charge a 53.5% margin?
Got you. So I just do the 53.5 and then take the 3.5 out of the back end.
I mean, the math, it's not 53.5, it's like 51 point something, but you get the point, right? So yes, you can add to your margin, which is going to add to everybody's margin, and then you can always give somebody a cash discount, right? What you can't do in your state is you can't say, I have a 50-point margin, but for credit cards, now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add something extra to it.
So I add it to everybody, and then if somebody pays cash, they get a discount.
If you want to give them a discount.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
I got a question, Arlen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing this, and then I don't know if somebody asked this earlier, but on the tablet, I think the next page or around this page, you also see during the amount financed, there's also the interest rate at 12.99. Now, let's say the customer goes, oh, I'm going to pay you 100% now, but the 12.99 interest rate is factored into the retail price automatically, right?
No, it's not. So this is your retail price, okay? That's your retail price. The 12.99% is factored into these payments.
Okay.
But there's not a 12.99% in the retail price.
Okay. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So let me just sort of summarize what we've done so far. We asked a pre-close question. Other than price or payment, would there be any reason we couldn't get your job started today? Customer says, no, it just comes down to price. Positive pre-close. I give them a commitment statement. I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get the floors you love and deserve. Boom. Show them the price. Walk them through. This is your retail price. This is what your payments look like. Once you're satisfied with the job, would you be in a position to pay with a personal check or take advantage of one of the payment options? Now, they might ask for something like a credit card or cash or HELOC or Venmo or PayPal or Goats or whatever it is. And so I'm going to come back and simply say, if we could do that for you, could we get your job started? Because I'm trying to flush out if that's it or if there's really an objection. Or it might be that the customer gives me poo-poo or a price objection or a time objection or payment objection. If it's poo-poo, I'm going to use the bridge the gap to get me to price. If it's price, I'm going to use my walk of life. What if it's time? Well, I'm already at time. So with time, I can, especially if it's less than 12 months, 6 months, 12 months, no interest, no payment. If it's payment, I can always take a deposit or I can extend the terms. If it's interest rate, I can lower the interest. And by the way, on the tablet, to lower the interest, you've got a little box right here that will allow you to lower the interest rate. Okay? With any of these, whether it's a no interest, no payment, it's a payment term, it's an interest rate objection, okay, great. All I need to know is what's possible, what might be possible. I'm going to get the customer to sign the tablet, close the sale, and then I'm going to go to the finance company and see what we can do. Well, what happens if they get turned down? Well, maybe I go to a different finance company. But I've done my job. I've done everything I could for this customer, right? Yes, there will be some that get turned down, okay? But I earned the right to at least ask the question. And that's what I'm trying to do right now is earn the right to ask the question.
Hey, Arlen. Question on, it's like you were saying, the little box with the interest rate. How is it that we should be messing with the interest rate when we have no clue about what that person's going to qualify for? Or is it through our finance company? It's like we're already going to kind of know where the loans are coming at.
Jen, if I could get this to a 9.99%, could we get your job started?
Okay, so you're just pretty much you're helping out the customer to say that if they agree to saying, oh, okay, yeah, 9.9 sounds better, then is it that you're hoping for the best outcome with the finance company at that point?
Well, it's better than I'd say it's better than a hope. The point is, I've made an agreement with the customer. If I can get this to a 9.99, can we get your job started? Yes, we can. Okay, good. Sign the tablet, and now let me go to work. Okay? So now I go to the finance company. The finance company says, no, we can't do 9.99. The best this customer qualifies for is 17.99. Okay. Well, now what am I going to do? I'm just going to have another conversation with the customer. That's all. You know, I couldn't get the 9.99, but I got you approved at 17.99. Can we get your job started at 17.99? Well, it's yes or no, but at least I earned the opportunity to go ask the question, right? Don't get in your own head. Don't allow yourself to get stuck in your own head that, oh my gosh, what if I don't get 9.99? Well, you made a deal with the customer that said, if I can get 9.99, then we have a deal. Okay, great. Well, I couldn't get 9.99, so can we get a new deal with this number? And they might say yes or no, but at least you've had the opportunity to ask the first question.
Arlen, is there any risk that we're outside of our, so I have a license in Kansas to basically pass through, here's your financing stuff, that I'm not financing anything. If we start talking about interest rates here and there, is there any risk that we come the wrong side of our license in our state? Should we be checking with anybody, or are we still just passing information?
As far as I know, Florida, New Jersey, there are some states that you have to have a specific license to be able to offer financing. I'm not sure about Kansas.
We do. It costs a whole, yeah, we do. It costs a whole $25 a year. But it says I'm not financing them though. My license is I'm not financing it. I'm just offering it on behalf of someone else.
Perfect.
So I didn't know if there was a point where I start getting on the other side of offering on behalf of someone else.
Well, that, I suppose if you decided to finance out of your own pocket, you'd be offsides.
Okay.
I mean,
fair enough.
And by the way, there's probably going to be times when you really think long and hard about doing it on your own, but I don't recommend it. I mean, that's a huge risk. You're not a bank, so
nope.
You know, don't pretend to be one.
Okay, thanks.
Arlen, regarding the process, we brought, I don't know, 12 boards in for the various options, but we've only gone through one set of those boards.
Yep.
At this point, is that right?
Yep.
They don't get anxious about having a discussion about that number without seeing the other boards?
I don't know. Jeff, the last time you went and bought a car, how many of the cars on the lot did you drive?
One.
You mean you didn't drive all 6,000 cars that were on the lot?
There was only one.
Oh, perfect.
It was a
Oh,
pandemic.
that's right, because the last car you bought was a Ford Transit Connect. So you were stuck.
But I get
Right?
your point, but
I mean, the reality is, if the customer's like, hey, what are those boards? Okay, well, we can take a look at those too. I'm not hiding anything from the customer. Now, if you want to manage that, right? And there's all sorts of little subtleties. If you want to manage that and you find that, you know what, I'm bringing these boards in and it's becoming a distraction, well, then don't bring them in. Bring in your option one boards and leave the other boards on the front porch, or leave them on the front seat of the van so that they're quick to get to. Sometimes I'll bring them in and just leave them in the foyer. And so it's not like I'm trying to hide them from the customer, but I'm also not bringing them onto the 50-yard line.
Okay.
I think I'm confused. Are you not showing them the multiple options, right, when you bring them in? You're only
I'm
showing
working
them an option?
I'm working through option one, and I'm only working through option one until I get from the customer, no, I'm not doing that. Then I'm going to move to option two. I'm focusing on option one, and it makes, so again, right now this is a little academic, right? Because, I mean, we're just in class. It actually makes the most sense for the customer. You come to my house, you're going to show me whatever. You're going to show me hardwood for upstairs. Okay, good. But I'm also open to laminate, and I'm also open to carpet. Oh gosh, now, all right, now we've made it really complicated. So you're going to go pull 4 hardwood boards. You're going to pull a couple of laminate boards. You're going to pull a couple of carpet boards. Okay, good. So you show me the hardwood options. I fall in love with this hardwood. It's a perfect color. It's going to work really, really great up here. I love it. Oh, well, now let me show you the laminate boards. Why are we talking about the laminate boards? That doesn't make any sense. No, you show me the hardwood boards. Now let's talk about the price for the hardwood boards. Oh, so if I were to do hardwood, it's going to cost 12 grand. Okay, that seems a little high to me. We talked about looking at laminate. Can you show me the laminate boards? Sure, let's take a look at the laminate boards. Boom, boom, boom. Now the laminate boards, this is 8 grand. The customer may say, you know what? I can live with that. Let's go with that. Or they might say, you know, I don't know. For the extra money, I think I'd still rather have the hardwood. Let's go with that one. But it doesn't make sense. And I know that there's other sales systems out there. Sears Home Improvement does it this way. Empire does it this way. There's a ton of other people that do it this way. They come in and they show you, here's good, better, best, right? And here's 3 prices for good, better, best. But the problem is it's more options for the customer and actually makes it more confusing for the customer.
Hey, Arlen, this is Nate. I'm just officially, joining the business here soon, but I'll tell you guys, one of the things that I've learned very early in this is that if you bring in too many samples or you run through too much, you really get paralysis by analysis and you can't get anywhere, so think of it almost like every step you're opening up a door. And even though it sounds like you're limiting options, if that's what they love and that's what they really love to have, you're really flowing through that example until you either hit a roadblock and you go to option 2 or whatever it may be. But just something to think about, because too many is not good.
Nate, I got that exact feedback this weekend. I did one of my homework assignments, and I straight up said, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And what could I do better? And the wife said, you bought me too much. There was too much to keep track of.
Yep.
Because I think we're all getting that we have customers that say exactly that. There's just too much choice. And Nate, I use that phrase all the time, paralysis by analysis. Yep.
Yeah, so it's actually a whole lot better. It's a whole lot better for the customer if you'll just, it's not that you're limiting your customer, you're limiting yourself. Limit yourself on how much stuff you're going to bring in. Because at the end of the day, the more samples you bring in, the harder it makes it for the customer to make a decision. There was a study, we won't go through this today. There was a study that was done. There's a book, The Paradox of Choice. And to give you the short version of this, in that book, there were studies that were done that analyzed how easy or hard it was for people to make decisions based on the number of choices that they had. And people like choice, but you really do need to limit the choice to be able to help the customer make a decision. Because when they have too many decisions, it makes it really, really hard to decide. The other thing that I found was really interesting about some of the studies that they did is when the customer has a lot of choices to pick from, and they finally do make a choice. So let's say they go into a big home store and there's thousands of carpet samples, and it takes a while, but they finally pick the perfect carpet. Okay, versus you come in with 3 or 4 boards and they pick the carpet. What I found was most interesting about that study is that if you then poll them 6 months later, how happy are you with your purchase? How happy are you with your choice? For the people that had a lot of choices to pick from, they actually liked their choice less than the people that had fewer choices, right? There's always this second guessing. There's always this, man, I wish I had, or I might have liked it better if I had done this. And so what I found was really interesting, not only when people are presented with a lot of choices, not only does it make it harder for them to decide, but then they're actually less happy with the choice that they ultimately made than if they had fewer choices to choose from. So I don't know, I find some of this stuff really, really fascinating when you dig into the details of it.
So Arlen, I just do have one follow-up question to that. So the biggest problem I had was she had 2 different rooms and wanted 2 different floors. So she wanted to go from carpet to a hard surface in one and then stay carpet in the other. And it was the crisscrossing of the 2. And after, I wondered if I should have focused on one room and then finished that whole room before I ever brought the other room up.
Could be. And you're going to get that. You're going to get customers where, look, I want a hardwood floor for the hallway. I want tile for the bathroom. I want carpet for the bedrooms. Oh my gosh, now my head's spinning. Now all of a sudden I went to 9 different options and I didn't even try. Okay, just simplify it as best as you can. And know that, you know what, if you miss it on the first shot, that's okay. You're not done yet. Stay in the home and shoot your shot again.
Okay.
All right, so I want to make sure that I give you guys some time before, I know some of you have actual customer appointments. Some of you are meeting with ops coaches this afternoon. I want to make sure that I give you guys some time to be able to sort of study up, if you will, beforehand. This was recorded today. I will send the recording out, but I have to drive to Atlanta like right now. So I won't be able to send the recording out until I get to Atlanta. I'll send you the recording. I'm also going to send you a set of slides that goes through the whole walk of life, everything that we just did, but prettier than my chicken scratch on the board. I like using the board because we can develop it together, but I will send you the slides that actually have this in a much more easier to read method. We do not have class tomorrow, but we will have class Wednesday, starting at the same time, 11 o'clock Eastern, same type of program, but we will spend a lot more time in breakout rooms on Wednesday. We didn't do any breakout rooms today. Wednesday, you'll see, we'll start doing a lot more stuff in breakout rooms. Any final questions before I let you guys take off and hopefully go land a bunch of sales?
I have a really stupid question for the people who are doing with the ops coaches.
Mm-hmm.
What do we prepare for that? So I don't even know the name of the person who has invited me, but what are we supposed to do to prepare for that? Do we just, because we're supposed to have boards ready, but what kind of boards, how will we know what we need to have ready?
So I sent this morning,
This morning?
did not go. Oh, good, it didn't go. It got stuck in.
I don't feel so bad then.
All right, it got stuck in the outbox. So,
Arlen, I really thought I had missed an email from you. I was going to feel really bad.
nope, it got stuck in my outbox. So this will make a lot more sense now.
Is this email you're talking about just for the folks, for the franchise owners, or is there something for the DAs too?
There's information in there for you guys too.
Okay.
All right, so now make sure it clears the outbox this time.
There we go.
Really disappointing because I sent that really, really early this morning.
Do you have an email from me now, Arlen?
Sorry?
Yep, just got it, Arlen. Okay.
It did come through.
Okay, all right. So you'll see in that lots of information. So those of you that will be doing a mock appointment, there is a scenario there, and if you would go ahead and draw that up so that it saves a little bit of time. You already have this, and then you'll see who you're assigned with for the rest of the week. So let's see, Amy, I've got you with Cassandra today and Wednesday, and then you'll be with Grant Thursday and Friday.
So Sandra is also with Cassandra. So Sandra, wow, that's really close to the names. Thanks, Arlen. So Sandra and I'm gonna flip back and forth. Is that how that's gonna work?
Yep.
Okay. Really appreciate the name coincidence there.
Well, yeah. So you met Bruce. You met Bruce Kolbinski, right? When you were in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, the really tall guy that can talk to a tree stump for 3 hours.
Yes, we met Bruce.
All right. So we also have a Sandra in the office. So we have a Sandra, we have a Cassandra, and the three of them were together one day. Sandra and Cassandra and Bruce were all right there together. And I looked at him and said, "Oh, good. It's Sandra, Cassandra, and tangent, like sine, cosine, and tangent." Anyway, that doesn't. At the end of the day, I'm a nerd, so it's okay.
Works out. Okay, so we just go over the email, and that will make it all make sense for our upcoming mock appointment.
That will help a lot. If that had left
Perfect.
early this morning, that would have made a lot more sense.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir.
Yep. Anything else? If not, I will, I'm gonna get on the road and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Good deal. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Arlen.
Thank you, Arlen.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Arlen.